and so then I was brought into the conversation, and something was basically said, and then she was like, oh, she was kind of like, there was an understanding everybody else had that she did not have, so we brought her into the conversation. So
nice.
So you know what, by the way, Mr. Scott,
I'm listening.
I just happened to be able to buy a truly massive amount of Dwarven Forge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought like at $60,000 at retail of Dwarven Forge and miniature building.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's a lot. So I now literally can make just about anything I'd ever want to make. I mean, I already had a lot. I could do like 4 big tables. Right. Hello, Jim.
Howdy, Bill. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm undrugged. How are you?
I'm still drugged. Don't worry.
A repurposed freighter drifts through space.
How you doing, Jim?
As you stare out at the
Oh, yeah, it's been a rough week, Bill.
Another ship comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign.
We made it. I made it back, so...
I got to change Mycroft Holmes there, don't I? That would confuse me.
No, it's okay. No one cares.
Curdles in your nostrils.
There, I'll change mine too. I need to make sure it's not just Jim's iPad.
Back chair more.
Jim, this time,
all right, here's what
I
we're
have
doing.
my
It's the
voice.
year
I'm like a Gary
3700.
comic.
Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of advanced technology.
It was just
survivors scraped by historic tools as weird phenomena, plague, abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and
where the
dead
heck do I
rising
change
from
this?
graves. And amidst the chaos,
1 second,
3 strangers will meet in a dim bar.
fine,
A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge,
There you go.
and a space mercenary
should
sent
be
to
on
investigate
shortly.
the power plants. Now describe.
Oh, so Anna will be here.
Oh,
Good.
yeah, Anna's always the co-host.
How did you
Okay.
do that?
Well, so I have a question for
I
her,
have
but
the
I'll
right tools for the
ask her
job.
that.
Awesome.
I think she might have relatives from Göteborg, where my Swedish family is from.
Probably does.
Yeah.
Probably does. Absolutely. ZB? What the frick is a ZB? That's a little weird.
1 second. You're just stealing for a second. I apologize.
I made it, dude. I was like in record time. Tiffany, I will tell you how fast I was going back from the airport to get back here. So.
Nice.
Chat.
So are you driving Tiffany up to Milwaukee, Josh?
No,
she can sack out over here overnight, and then I'm working from home tomorrow anyway.
The flight got delayed again, by the way, Josh. So my wife may have to go pick her up, and she may have to stay here. We'll see. Let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope it goes.
I'm a happily married man, and my wife will be back at 7. So I didn't want it to sound like the world's worst pickup line, but does she want to come see the world's largest fantasy role-playing collection?
Such a shooter statement.
Dungeon, imagine
Peter McGabbin?
without him.
Wow.
The curious.
That's like the classic of classics. Hey, come see the world's largest fantasy RPG collection.
From
Wow.
So I have my camera here tilted at a rakish angle, Jim, so that the NTRPG posters could be
Yeah, that's cool.
taken
That's
in.
great. That's just great. I woke up this morning to an eBay alert I was very pleasantly surprised by.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Noble Knight put a bunch of posters up this morning with some fairly ludicrous buy it nows. And I don't know why, but they did. God bless them.
So trying to get rid of inventory, right?
When I woke up in my sweaty, feverish, pain-filled morning, oh crap, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, look at that. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. I want to fix this.
You're fine. Fine.
Hi, Jim. Hello, Anna.
Can't hear you, Anna.
Uh-oh.
Now we can.
Okay, good.
So Anna, before I forget and before we start,
POV, I had 30 minutes before
my
campaign
Swedish
group showed up,
relatives
and I
are
was
from
totally
Göteborg.
unprepared.
And
Okay.
we
I
had
grabbed
this
my ready set
conversation
encounter box
before.
and
Then we must be
Gothenburg.
related.
She's from Gothenburg.
Section.
Yeah, that's it.
Map tiles, loot tables,
Josh, I
stat
can't
blocks,
hear
and
when two people are
miniatures,
talking.
all
Go ahead.
shotgun. My
Ooh,
players
we got
still think
slapped
I
I
was
there.
just going to say, then we
planning
must
our
be
great
related.
dragon
Half my
encounter.
family's from
If you're a busy
Gothenburg,
dungeon
too.
master,
Okay.
get ready for
Göteborg,
encounter,
yep.
live
See,
out,
that's-
My
and
dad's side.
That was what I was saying earlier, Gothenburg. But see,
POV, I had
the
30
Swedes
minutes before
told
my
me,
campaign group showed
Göteborg
up,
is
and I
how
was
it's
totally
pronounced.
Yeah,
unprepared.
Göteborg.
I
Yep.
grabbed my ready set encounter box and boom, Everything I needed
So you guys
was
are
epic
related is
session.
what you're saying?
Adventure hooks, map
She said
tiles,
it
loot
was probably
tables,
50-50,
stat blocks,
you
and
know.
miniatures, all
Yeah,
ready
half
to go.
my,
My players still
my
think I spent
dad's
hours
side is
planning our
from
Great
Gothenburg.
Dragon encounter.
That
If you're a
were
busy dungeon
fishermen,
master,
farmers
get ready, set encounter
in
live
that
now
area.
on
So,
Kickstarter.
We have Berglins and Skoglins.
Mhm. Yep.
This is a crazy day.
Is it?
It's our second stream, by the way. So Tiffany and I streamed down the basement
Yeah.
for about an hour and a half with
That euphemism?
special guest Curtis Cable, Ritz Winchester
Trouble.
himself. Thanks, Gargamel. Thank you for the raid, man.
The stream is starting. All right.
Yep.
I don't have a title screen because I never got a banner done for tonight, so I'll go right for this in, so we're good. I may be shouting out people as I go if I get an opportunity, but I don't know if I will. Josh, thanks for helping out, man. If it, with Tiffany especially.
Yeah, I don't know what we were supposed to talk about. So, yeah.
Tonight we're doing North Texas and CNY discussion.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
But Tiffany was going to be in the air during this one, so in theory,
She's on her phone, so she can zoom in if she's able to. If she's confident her plane's leaving and she's not all upset. So, but if not,
live from the convention scene.
yeah.
Yep.
Are we hot on audio?
Here comes Spam Mike. Of
I
course
think
you
we
know,
are.
we always are.
Yes. Yep.
I was really just asking that. Yeah!
Mike!
Hey, Mike.
Mike! I can't speak, he said.
No, I'm here.
Oh, he's there.
Oh, look at him flexing with the stuff behind him. A dwarven glory there, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, you guys must not watch Shock and Crit because this is my setup every week.
You're too small on the screen for me.
Here comes Jim Kitchen back. All right, let's come live. It's a couple.
Jim and
minutes.
his bionic leg. We have the bionic man here. We have the greatest collector in RPG history and the bionic man. You don't need me. You do not need me this week.
And you had the
Yeah,
person
Oh
with
my
the long-
gosh! And I just noticed
Longest girl
Anna Pyre
camping.
is in, and the greatest cartographer in history. What am I doing here? One of these things is not like the other.
Hey,
Gee.
you're here for moral support. How's that sound?
Okay,
We're here to talk about your awesome con.
Yes.
you know.
Hey, Mike Saxton there, checking in with a Prime sub as he is. Are you on your way home yet, Mike? From CNY Con, where Tiffany and I just got back from today as well. So we'll talk about both. Welcome.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Special treat for everyone. So we got a lot of guests. We're going to talk about North Texas, and then myself. I'll talk about the experiences. We talked a little bit this afternoon about CNY Con up Central New York. But let's introduce everyone. Go ahead, Josh. Kick it off, and we'll go clockwise.
I'm Josh. I'm an alcoholic. It's been sorry.
You are.
Wrong meeting.
Yeah, wrong meeting.
I'm
It's been like
Josh,
a week.
and I
It's
got
been
to go.
7 days.
What's that?
It's been like 7 days. You were at North Texas.
When was that in North Texas?
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities to Gary Con. That is some of the pictures I sent you, Jay, were at like 3 a.m.
I know. Well, you know what I did? Every picture, I made sure your face was in it. They're all the ones I got in the scroller. So it's Josh looking like he's photobombing everyone, which is awesome. Or like, so
I've got a 13-year-old daughter. I know how to do selfies. I'm Josh. I'm with Gary Con, but I got to. I had the privilege of attending my very first NTRPG this year, and it was a wonderful treat. And I think we'll talk about that as we go.
Awesome. Bill, good to see you. First time on.
Happy to be on, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was my including the virtual one. This was my 16th NTRPG con, and I love every single one of them.
Very cool.
It's 550 people, but it feels like Gen Con from 1978, which was my first Gen Con. It's got the most wonderful old school vibe, and I like to say that there are 550 people there, and I like 547 of them. So it's an awesome ratio.
Wow.
Well, Jim, I think I know we fall, Jim and I. So
I was going to say that's you,
I think
Gary,
I make
and
I think I round out the third, right?
No, you know,
So for those of you who know a lot about Gary Con and see, oh my gosh, you have the auctioneer from Gary Con on. Yep, that's Jim Kitchen, who does a lot. So Jim, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Bill is part of the auction team too.
I know Bill is.
Yes, Bill is my Vanna White. There is no auction without Bill.
True. But Bill's got the largest collection, even bigger than me. So he's got its bragging rights already.
It is the largest fantasy role-playing game collection in the world. It spans 30 years. I have been privileged enough to work alongside Bill at the Gen Con auction for more than 10 years now. And he and I are the duet at Gary Con, NTRPG, Gamehole. This was my 5th NTRPG, and I always talk about how it's interesting because NTRPG and Gary Con started at the same time, but they are both examples of roads. They took different paths, but both of those paths are eminently successful, and I think we'll talk to that at some point.
That's fantastic. Looking forward to it. First time on as well, Bad Mike Ballado. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
I did the thing where I got my hours mixed up, and I'm glad I got an emergency message from Josh that, hey man, we're on. I'm like, oh, hey, well, I guess I should put down the writing pencil.
EDT always our time slot. I'm outside Philly. Yep. So
I can barely make it to Talking Crit every week, as Jim will tell you. We're lucky, but
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, this is our 18th. Was our 18th year. It was our most successful. We had over 600 people. I believe the final count was 612, and so that's amazing. We had over 100 walk-ups, which broke another record too.
Oh, that's great.
It was a great con. Everything was the biggest and best this year, and we really grateful to. I mean, a lot of people. But I'm going to single out Bill and Jim since they're here. They help out with the auction. They keep it rolling very, very well. I don't know what the final numbers of the auction were. We did very well. The auction is one of the things that keeps the con running. The silent auction, the live auction, the midnight auction. They all help us out quite a bit, and we did really well this year. And it's thanks to these two men here because they really, I mean, they know what they're doing. We're not dumb when we have them help out, and we're not dumb. We don't pay them anything either. So that's another smart thing to do. And no, it was great to see Josh there. I mean, I've seen Josh so many times, and it was great to have him. And maybe he could take some stuff back to Luke and tell him what he's doing wrong, and Luke can change a few things. No, I'm just messing with you. No, we had a great time. It was a great con. Everything
it was.
Anna, why don't you give us a little announcement on you being my evil crime co-host for all 8 years now? But yeah,
okay, I'm Anna B. Meyer, and I do maps of places that don't exist, primarily GREYHAWK, my day job, and then on Sundays and Wednesdays, I'm Jay's co-host here on Legends and Lore and Gabbin shows. Yeah.
Plus, she's the greatest map maker in the world, right, everyone?
Well, it depends on what type of map.
Yes.
My speciality. Yes.
Oh, well, yes. And I'm J.K. Lord Gazumba. My GREYHAWK campaign started in 1980 when I was 12 years old. It's still running. I was a VIP guest at CNY Con this weekend with Tiffany Rose Nickel, who flew out here. And that was Central New York. And also I'm on the Luke Gygax team writing new content for Hasbro WotC, along with a lot of other things that are in the fuels in the fire. In the top 20 Twitch channel for D&D. So let's have some fun with this. Giveaways tonight. Sneak peeking some things. Tiffany's going to wait on her stream tomorrow night. Hopefully she makes it. New announcement of some sort coming. Arduin. What's it go back to 1981 there, Bill?
77.
77. Old maps, new maps. Why do I have all this stuff? That's interesting.
The Arduin guys, they are like a clown car. There is nothing that ever stops in motion when you have the two of those guys on a show. They are just chaos personified, right? There's like 1 minute you're talking to them, and the next a flying dachshund goes by, and then it's a waterfall of back scratchers.
And don't forget back scratchers, Jim.
It's off the hook.
Oh, you have the back.
It's
good.
absolutely off the hook.
Wait. Dan Mike, I got you. Look, I have a back scratcher too now.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
This is something I don't want.
I have a back
There we
scratcher
go.
too.
There
Always handy. Yeah, you have
Always.
to have a back
we
scratcher.
got the Ardo and
Best
back
things
scratcher.
ever invented.
Oh
It's a
my
back
gosh.
scratcher.
Yeah.
My God, these two guys are they're the reincarnation of what's his name? Wrangler Brothers.
Chuck Berry.
Yeah,
No,
Chuck Barris.
Barnum.
I have a
P.T. Barnum?
sword
Yeah,
too, just in case.
like
Yeah.
yes, Barnum. They're literally the two of them. They just come into view, and it's just there's just this cloud. It's literally like one of those fight scenes from a Warner Brothers cartoon where it's just a cloud of smoke and chaos and dust, and you know the Tasmanian Devil is in there somewhere, but it's just they're just great.
I was not expecting that the answer of how many back scratchers that were going to come out would be D4 minus 1.
The only reason I don't have mine is that it's downstairs, and I'm currently not.
Yeah, you can't run down there and grab it.
I've really got some FOMO now because I've talked to the Ardwin guys, and they've never given me a back scratcher. They gave me
Josh.
So Josh,
that's not
come
good.
on.
That's
if
not good.
Tiffany and I, with our charisma and charm, and it's you, come on. I mean, think
I like
about
that Anna has it at the ready. She's
Yeah,
just
and
like,
I always have to have
how do
it.
you not?
All right, so first giveaway, bag
a back scratcher.
Bag and dice Black Oak Workshop, right? A Gary Con sponsor, a sponsor of this channel, the Sparkle Flurry, right? Just as long as it's in the continental United States, we'll be able to. That's like $50 value right there.
Craig's a sweetheart.
Second one. I'll let Tiffany make the major announcement for both of our channels tomorrow on her stream. But here's an Arduin card deck along with a large sword. Those two together. I'll send that out as well. So we got two, but you'll see it scrolling through. You'll understand. So we've made some negotiations with them, and they're Anna. Where do you see their maps? We're probably going to have them on July 5th. As well to make a super big announcement, for that. But yeah, so things are going well. They were at CNY Con. It was great. So all right, let's talk.
Let me jump in for 1 second, if I may. Since you mentioned Black Oak,
yes.
Craig Zipsey, the great owner of Black Oak.
Yep.
I don't have a back scratcher, but just 10 feet away from where I was sitting, he was a cartographer himself back in the day.
Oh, let's see it.
I happen to have a awesome.
Oh, look at that, Starfort. Yeah.
Craig Zipsey original right here hanging on my wall.
That's fantastic.
So, wow.
Craig did awesome work back in the day.
He's such a nice guy. And about Retro Gamer Meth's on. Thunderstruck Workshop, that's Mike Saxton. I showed it on the stream earlier. I got a brand new tower from him. I got a whole bunch of new minis from an auction I won. Also, during our 24-hour stream, July 11th, we're giving away another Tower of Gygax set. I'm not telling you how I got them.
We don't want to know how you got them. Details are not necessary.
Yeah. So we got plenty of those. All right. So North Texas first. So we got you all on here. Who wants to start? I guess Bad Mike. Why don't you start with the history and tell us a little bit about what was different this year and what we were excited about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the history about 2008 or 9 or so. Doug wanted to have a Doug Ray, who sadly passed away several years ago, wanted to have a get together of gamers, and we had talked about it, but not seriously. And so February rolls around that year, and he says, "Do you still want to do this convention thing?" I said, "Yeah, I guess so." He goes, "Well, we better start getting contact with you." I'm like, "Oh, I thought you were going to handle that. I guess that's my job now." So I started contacting people on the AKM. For those who don't know, the AKM is an old school collector site online. It's been there for about 25 years. And just reached out to the AKM and said, "Look, anybody want to come? We're going to have this get together, at a local hotel. Special guests. We were being cheap, and so he said, "Who's local?" Jaquays was local. Dennis Sester was local. And then Doug said, "Well, you know what? I'm just going to pay Frank Menser and Tim Kask and Rob Kuntz to fly in too." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, whatever. You're dime." So we had a small convention. We had 55 people. Everybody had a great time. We gave them some gaming legends, and we just kept it rolling. Every year we got a little bigger. Went from 55 to 90 to 120, and then it just kept going from there. And we made a decision very early on to cap at 500 people because we wanted to keep an old school vibe. We didn't need to make money, and that's the difference between us and a lot of conventions. A lot of conventions really need to make money to keep rolling, and you make money by obviously having more people every year. And that's not really our gig. That's not our thing. We just want to keep it, right where we have it. Now we did raise we did raise attendance to 600 last year. We sold 600 because we figured that was as many people as were coming anyway. And this year we proved that because we had over 600 people. That was the most we've ever had. Over 100 walk-ups. Pre-sale tickets we sold out January this year. I think this year it's going to be earlier. It's getting a little earlier every year. It used to be May, then it went to April, then March, and then February, and this year it was January.
So,
Well,
so Mike will hiccup. So I'll jump in
all
real
word of
quick.
mouth.
There he is.
Yeah, you chomped a little there, Mike.
All people that return. Sorry, it says here your internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, it's on your end.
Yeah. Jim can verify.
So let me throw out a couple of things that Mike sort of went over real quick. Doug Ray had a real vision for North Texas, and I think that one of the things that was the hallmark of what you heard about North Texas for years, certainly I did before I attended, is that this was a show that punched above its weight as far as guests go. If you wanted to get in a table at a game with Jim Ward or Dennis Astaire or Frank Mincer or Tim Kask, you absolutely could. There was no question of that. I heard the same phrase over and over again about North Texas, which was that it was more like a family reunion of family you liked versus a con. And Doug's vision, Doug created the con he always wanted to go to, which was a small con, a reasonably small convention, but one that had the people you really wanted to see. And his guiding hand on that, particularly for the first 10 years, really kept the timbre and tone of the con. Gary Con began as a celebration of Gary Gygax's life after he passed away, and started with what I would say to be similar kinds of numbers, but where Gary Con grew larger and larger and larger, and is now one of the premier conventions in the Midwest or even the U.S. North Texas has stayed the same size because it hasn't had to grow to serve a clamoring crowd of people trying to get into it. It's still very much a reflection of what Doug wanted in his show, because he made sure to keep it that way. And I think that's
good, Jay. I think that's perfect. And we were very lucky that Doug's best friend Gary Oliver took over what he did after Doug passed, and Gary is absolutely on board. And we also have we also have Doug's son David, and so between David, myself, and Gary, we've just kept the same feeling. There was no big change to anything once Doug passed away. It was just continue. We would just want to continue his dream and what he did. We typically, what you said about guests is very true, Jim. We typically have 40 or so guests, so at any one time, 10% of our con is or more special guests, but that's the way we want it. We don't have VIPs, we don't do VIGs. Everybody is extremely accessible. I ran a BX game. I ran B1 in Search for the Unknown this year. Steve Marsh, the creator of BX, co-creator, sat in. He played a character. He said, "Hey, can I play your game?" I'm like, "No, get out of here, old man." No, of course I said yeah. I said yes. Errol Otis has played in my game before. I mean, you can sit at a table and the guy next to you is Alan Hammock, and you're just like, oh,
yes.
And that's just the way the con's always gone, and hopefully that's the way it's always going to be. So we've been able to keep it, even with low numbers. We've really been able to keep the vibe going because we don't have a lot of outlay. We don't really have to worry about running out of money because this special guest costs too much or this venue costs too much. We've got things going along right now pretty well, and we have a lot of donations, which really helps us. We had some great donations this year. The problem is we can't. And Josh should show one of our marketing genius moves right there.
Yes.
We have something called the Midnight Auction where I dress up like the devil. It started 10 years ago and it just got bigger and bigger. Now it's ridiculous. But the main point of the Midnight Auction, what happens at midnight Saturday, I got the idea from old sci-fi cons. You ever went to some old sci-fi cons in the 70s or 80s? They always had a big dance or blow off, Saturday night. And I always thought that was such a great idea. Just everybody have fun the last thing you do at the con. So We have the midnight auction. There's all kinds of shenanigans that I cannot possibly get into.
There are no pictures from the midnight
no
auction.
pictures allowed.
Actually, I have one afterwards.
You do see some pictures. Some pictures escape, but
they're the Devilettes right there.
Yes. Bill has all the great posters.
We have different bits. One of the bits we have different bits. One of the bits we do is we sell the souls of certain attendees, and Josh appears to have purchased whose soul there?
That's Mark Greenberg's. That's part of the
poor
timeshare arrangement.
Yeah, Mark Greenberg stole
us
on timeshare because he dared to. Well, let's say he had a lot of hubris walking around Saturday, and we made him pay for that. His soul had already been sold, but I decided to timeshare it out to 3 other people because he was bragging how many souls he owned. I think he owns Bill. I think he owns Bill's soul, and he was bragging about that. So I didn't like my friend Bill getting beaten down like that. So
Oh, thanks, Mike.
But I want to jump in on another point. North Texas, when Mike says they have 40 special guests, these are actually people who have done things in the industry that you've heard of. There are other shows that list 200 special guests, and one of them is a janitor who worked next to Gary at some point for 6 months, or they're an influencer you've never heard of.
How about the streamers? Whatever. Yeah, the streamers that I have.
Yes, the streamers you've never heard of.
Subscribers.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
No, not you. You're okay. No, I mean we're talking streamers you've never heard of. I've heard of you, Jay.
Okay.
Yes. But Alan Hammock was in my Saturday night game, and Steve Winter is a staple of Steve has cut back on going to shows, but he absolutely has North Texas on his permanent attendance list. And part of the reason is, again, because of the smaller size of the show, North Texas isn't interested in packing as many tables into a room as possible. So there's plenty of space. The con purchased divider walls, soundproofing baffles, so you can't really hear the table that's next to you, what's going on. They can spread the events out. But again, if you want to see Jeff D, if you want to see Diesel, if you want to, just hang out and ask questions. Darlene is there every year. Merle Rasmussen is there every year. And again, this is the show that punches above its weight with actual special guests, not sort of made up special guests.
I spent 15 minutes this year talking to Jeff D because I'd sadly neglected him for the last few years. I hadn't really said hi, and so I just sat down and had some. I had a long-running Villains and Vigilantes campaign in the 80s, so I regaled him, or I bored him. I don't know what I did, but I regaled him from stories from that campaign, and he shared some stories too. And that's what it's all about. When you sit down and talk to these guys, Jim and I talk a lot on the show, Talking Crit, about how when you need to see these guys now, and you need to talk to them, you need to get their memories, get their stories, because sadly we're losing it. We're losing the old school guys, slowly but surely. And they really love going to these shows. They come to the show and people talk to them. People want to hear stories. Yeah, maybe the same story they've told 15 times, but people still want to hear it. And that's what I love about cons. And actually, one of the sad things about North Texas is I'm so busy the whole time I don't have a chance to talk to everybody. And that's why I like to go to cons. I'll be going to a lot of cons this summer, including EggCon, and I'd love to get to Central New York Con. It's just it happens the week after ours.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit because Tiffany and
I love Roger. I've talked to Roger a lot. He is a great dude. He's got exactly the right mindset of running a small con and building up slowly, because there's a lot of cons that try to, as Jim say, try to punch over their weight, and they do it. They try to get big too fast, or they try to expand too quickly. Yeah. And it doesn't have the same feel. And
thanks, hype train in. Yeah. So Mike, there was only 9 special guests at CNY. Tiffany and I were number 8 and 9. So yeah, it was not a lot of
No,
but that's a reasonable number.
Though, we only had 5 our first year. I don't know how many Roger had, but that's how you grow. You get word of mouth, and I've only heard good things about Central New York Con.
Yeah.
I've talked to Roger, and he's a great dude. So
yeah, we'll definitely go over some stuff later on in the show. So what's up, Bill? Go ahead.
Going back to that for a second. So we had a friend in our group. Frank Mentzer ran us in a home campaign, and one of those members went down to NTRPG Con year 1, and he came back and said it was absolutely fantastic. But I hate the heat. It was in Texas in June, not my place to go to.
What's the game inside, not outside?
But my friend Mark Greenberg, my game master for 45 years, he went down there for year 2 and loved it and came back and said, Bill, you have to go. So I started year 3 and have gone ever since. So, and we've pulled more people. We pulled Jim Kitchen into our group. We pulled, this year we got Josh to come down. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Josh had a great time. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, of course
he did. He did. I saw Josh a lot.
He was going to steal your ideas for GaryCon. You should know that.
Yeah,
stolen
he was crying. He was saying, he kept telling me. I mean, I wasn't supposed to tell anybody. He kept saying Luke's doing it all wrong. These guys know what they're doing. How am I going to tell? How am I going to tell Luke? And he was crying. And I just said, have another whiskey, Josh. And he was okay. A couple more.
That's awesome.
No, Josh, it was great seeing Josh. I've seen Josh a bunch over the years, but it was great seeing him at North Texas. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, we just got to get Luke there someday. We can't get Luke.
No, we can't. I think one problem is that it's like the weekend that before UK Games Expo. Because I said, hey man, I'm going to North Texas. And he's like, man, I wish I could get down there. So
well, we have Heidi, so Heidi's now my favorite Gygax. So Luke can pound.
She showed up.
Yeah. Heidi's there, so who cares? This Luke guy, I don't care. No, I want to tell you a funny story. So Jim's first year, I'll try to condense it. Alex Kamer, who runs another great con, Gamehole Con. Yep. He attended and he wanted to know if I wanted to go see a Mavericks playoff basketball game. I said, yeah, I can't afford whatever tickets were, and so he just very nicely bought me a ticket. We went there, we had a great time. The next day I woke up, I had the worst food poisoning of my life.
Oh man!
I don't know what I ate right there. I could barely move except to crawl to the bathroom, and I made a desperate call down to Gary Oliver, because I couldn't do the auction. The auction, we have a live auction Saturday, I go, I can't move, Gary. I can't do this. He goes, what am I supposed to do about the auction? I said, get Jim Kitchen. and he goes, who's Jim Kitchen? Jim's like, I'm right here. Jim was like
I was standing like 3 feet from Gary when he goes, who the hell is Jim Kitchen? And I was like, can I help you? That was pretty funny.
What can I do for you, sir? He put his tape on. I came out of the phone booth. But so he did the auction that year. Luckily, I was able to get it up to go to the midnight auction. But that's Jim just jumped in. That's kind of the whole story about North Texas, isn't it, Jim? People just jump in. They do things. They help out. Bill's helped us out over the years. He's given a few talks about collectibles and something that just scares the absolute pee out of me is when he packs his car full of $200,000 worth of gaming stuff and drove down a couple times, and I'm just sitting there just like, please make it in one piece, please don't let the car blow up. And he so that was really nice of him to do that, because it freaked me out.
Bill and I can have a show on how we get our shit from our houses to cons all the time. What a nightmare it is. Right?
Doug offered to meet me at the border with armed guards.
It's a nightmare.
But no, it's that's how it is. Everybody pitches in, everybody helps. We have all volunteer. We don't pay anybody. A lot of it's a family deal. Gary's wife helps out. My brother helps out.
David's there now.
James Shields. James Shields' wife has become a huge help to us, and we just have people jump in. It's been great the last few. We've never said we need somebody to help with this. It's just like, I'm laying dead on the floor, and Jim Kitchen gets the call, and he says, "Okay, yeah, whatever. I'll help with your."
Very cool.
But the greatest thing about the North Texas auction, let me sort of. Gen Con, you have to be G-rated. When I'm at the podium, I have to be G-rated.
Oh yes.
And Gamehole, it's a much more serious auction from the weight of the collectibles that are in the Gamehole auction. That's what Alex has designed. So I would say that it brushes. Sometimes I could get away with a little bit of PG. GaryCon, Luke would prefer that we keep it PG, PG-13. Don't push the boundaries too much. But but North Texas is the place where literally the first time I was in the room and I was trying to read the room, I got to drop my hand job of Vecna joke. And
I knew you were one of us when you dropped. I was just going to say
that, and there's this split second of silence where I'm at the podium thinking, "Oh my God!"
Sorry, I'm getting a
And
coffee
then the
refill.
roar from the back of the room. I was like, "I have found my people. This will be great."
I was going to say that was the moment I knew you were one of us when you dropped the.
Jay's like praying right now that you don't get him kicked off at Twitch, I think.
Yeah, it would be.
I'm going to get a text in a second going, "Oh, well, there it is."
So,
oops.
Let's sidebar real quick. I have these on the borderline emotes, okay? And I asked everyone what they thought about them. Everyone loves them except one person. Can you guess who that is? Josh?
Anna.
Yeah. So look, here we go. Here's my D's nuts and blue ball emote. There you go. D's nuts, blue ball. What?
Terrible.
I
was playing a game with Dave, and he swore. Dave Conant. For those of you who know Dave Conant, Dave doesn't swear, right? And I just said, "Dave, language."
Yeah.
You guys know Dave, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's awesome.
Nicest guy on the planet. He's not.
Yep.
He swore on Friday.
Definitely. Very nice. Yep.
I'll take a second to explain something about the midnight auction. I said this to my wife that, dear, there are going to be things that are going to come up in this midnight auction, and they're ours to bid on, because some people are selected each year. And for instance, Satan might have inscribed something in a book pretending that it was written by that person. So this year, there was a $1 paperback that the Meinharts had to buy because inside it said, "Shrink is not a condition, bitches." And so that was my turn to buy that book. So I got to spend $80 purchasing that book. But it all goes into the coffers of the con, and we're all really happy to support the con and keep the con going.
I make no claims that these items actually were signed by anybody that signed them, because some interesting signatures pop up at some times.
But there's also some interesting characters that drop by the midnight auction. I think the midnight auction also enjoys the company of celebrities. There were a couple of celebrities a few years ago that was pretty intense.
Yeah, that was also and then they were disallowed from ever appearing again because of reasons.
Oh boy.
Yes.
And
Mr.
Krabs will make an appearance sometimes. Kurt Gould in a crab suit. And if you don't know who Kurt Gould is, he was a longtime WotC employee for about 20 years who recently left. And we managed to get that guy in a crab suit, which is amazing. I mean,
that is awesome.
We've done.
There's Mr. Krabs.
He bought the. We have these just absolutely gorgeous posters every year made by Matt Roberts, and I believe Bill owns every year but one. And they're signed by all the special guests, and they're unique items. We only print one of each.
How's Matt doing? I haven't talked to him in a while.
Oh my gosh,
he's a
There's
force
a picture
of
him in the scroll. It's he's at Bottle Tech, which is Battle Tech with way too much whiskey.
Bottle Tech,
or just the right amount of whiskey if you're Matt Roberts.
It's a Battle Tech game Friday night that got a little. At one point, it looked. Somebody walked in and said, "My God, you have more bottles here than the bar does," and they weren't wrong actually. But yeah, so it's called Bottle Tech now, and everybody we have a great time there. That's a blast. We have these recurring events now. It's gotten to where the regulars know. And what's great is people come there for the first time. We had a ton of first time people there this year, and they assimilate really quickly because people help them assimilate. If they don't understand something, there's somebody will grab them and explain it. Here's what this joke means, or here's where this is at, or here's why we do it this way. We don't really have to do a lot. I mean, Gary and I and David just run the show. Whenever somebody needs to know where this boardroom is, or what's going on here, somebody will tell them, and that's just amazing. That's just an amazing thing that's developed in the con. And as Jim said, it's like a family reunion because you get these people who've been there every year, and they're very proud to grab a newcomer and show them around, or say, hey, did you want to do this, or let's go play a game over here. We never have people that can't find games to play. If you show up there, you will always have a game. And this year we were able to fill everybody in, or we were able to fill every table up, and everybody that wanted to run a game got to run a game. And that was because a lot of people will say, look, I'm running a game. You don't have a game? I got a game in 10 minutes. Come sit at the table. And we've had people show up before that have signed up for nothing. They literally just walk up and say, entertain me. And then 3 days later, they're like, oh my God, that was the best con I ever went to.
And North Texas does something really interesting with the table space. North Texas takes whatever the number of players are that you can have in a game. So this year I ran a game, the best little cult house in Texas.
That's awesome.
And it was a great combination of Call of Cthulhu and the best little whorehouse in Texas, and the evil high priestess was Joanna Gaines. I'll let you unpack.
And there was singing. There was also singing.
There was singing, yes. But
did Alan sing? He was in that game.
Alan did sing, and in fact, when I was recovering from my surgery this week, they kept sending me them singing the songs.
Oh dear.
So I actually now have a bunch of audio clips. And Alan, yes. So North Texas, they have a date where half the seats in a game become available if you want to pay for the privilege of locking in a game. So it's like $4, right? Right, Mike?
It's $5. Yeah, totally.
$5. But early registration sells half the seats for $5 each. And then later on, the rest of the back half of the seats open up for free. So if you really want to try to play with Steve Winter, or you really want to play with Alan Hammock, $5, and that has a chance of getting that game. You could always wait. And then the final thing that North Texas does, which I think is probably one of the best implemented ideas I've ever seen, is that they have golden tickets for time slots. The golden ticket lets you drop into any game in that time slot. So like Friday night from 7 to 9, Friday night from 9 to 10, whatever the starting time. There's a golden ticket for each start time, and it's $100, right, Mike?
I believe so. Gary would know, but I think it's
a golden ticket for $100, you are guaranteed a seat in the game.
You walk around like a big man. You got that golden ticket. You can go sit anywhere you want.
You are the Willy Wonka badass. No matter how many characters, I had 8 seats in my game for the Call of Cthulhu game, but I had 10 pre-gens simply because if somebody wanted a golden ticket for whatever reason, if somebody lost their damn mind and wanted to jump into my best little cult house game, they could golden ticket in, and I would have had a character for them. And it's just genius. It's absolutely genius.
That was a great Doug idea. Doug had some amazing ideas over the years. I mean, I'll say that not every idea Doug had was great, but some of the ones he did were amazing. I mean, you just look back and you're like, this is very prescient. I mean, he was thinking way like 3 steps ahead when he thought of this or that. I mean, the whole thing about the special guests, having that many special guests, I always thought that was crazy. Like, we have 150 people, Doug. You can't have 25 special guests. It doesn't make sense. But now I look back on it, there's this, cons are trying to get all these special guests in. As Jim said, some of them aren't very special. I mean, I don't know how
they have dubious CV.
Yeah,
that will
very
leave
dubious.
it at that.
But Doug was really great about, no, we're going to get people, and he would call me and say, I heard from this guy. Have you ever heard of this guy? And have you ever heard of this guy named Douglas Niles? Yes, Doug, I've heard of him. He's done a lot of stuff. Right?
He's a real person, Doug.
He asked me if he wanted to come to the con. I said I'd have to talk to you first. I said, yeah, that's thumbs up. That's a good one. Yeah.
Doug's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I ask a Doug Miles question for like Bill and Jim? Maybe they know. All right. Okay. Right. One of these has Doug Niles as the author. I had Doug Niles on last year, and he said he never remembered writing it. So did
Bill?
The other one's Love and Sargent, right, in this book, in the Free Secret box set. Do you think that Sargent did both and just put Doug's name on it, or do they not? Don't know.
I would say that's a reasonable answer to your question, but I don't have any personal further knowledge about it.
We were shocked. We were shocked because we're so looking forward to talk to him about the book. And he's like, I never wrote it. Okay.
So Curtis and I have talked to him about this, and he wrote B5, right?
Yeah,
which is
Hill. And also N1, dude.
Yeah, N1. Yeah.
So, and he's like, we started going over and started coming back to him a little bit, but he's like, a lot of times I was working, right? And you don't always, you get the job done.
Yeah,
and I'm just like probably trying, like, hey, Skip, do you remember that one Sage Advice or whatever that you wrote? Leonard. We used to have Leonard Lakofka on the show.
40 times.
I mean, there was stuff that Leonard would be like, and even when you'd say this, Leonard, why didn't you save all that stuff like Bill would grab off the tables when he was 16, Why didn't you save those adventures you wrote specifically for the conventions and just throw them? He goes, I didn't think anyone cared about them or wanted them. They were, you know.
Speaking of that, there was an adventure we're still looking for, right? That Len wrote at a con. Which one is it, Anna? Do you remember?
It's the Starship one, right?
Oh, it's a Starship Warden level that he supposedly ran at a con.
No. It was Barrier Peaks, but yeah.
Barrier Peaks. Starship. Yeah. For the
has anyone heard of that?
Lakofka Archive.
We're looking for it.
Yeah, the rumor is he had written it because the Lakofka Archive has been great at publishing a lot of his,
because he's written about it, but we don't have the module itself. So
other than you asking me about it, Josh, I do not know anything else about it.
I've asked Bill already about it.
The guys doing the archive have done an amazing job so far. It's how many 5-6 publications now or more.
Kudos to them. They've done wonderful
really
work.
amazing
Absolutely wonderful work.
It's
I know Anna's part of the team. Right.
Oh yeah, Troy is the one that have been the organizer of most of it, and I've helped.
That's the first
and
one.
there were probably about a dozen people who've helped out in various capacities.
I was just curious because we'd love to have if they work on it this year, have another one to put out for GaryCon next year. But I'm sorry, I digress.
If I may, I have a great North Texas story to tell.
Please, yes, of course.
And
of course.
So my first North Texas. So I arrive, and the hotel that they were in, there was like renovations going on in the front of it. I'm having to walk like through like a 5-foot walkway where I'm it feels like rain is falling. It wasn't rain, but it just workmen working, and I'm like, where the heck am I going? And I come out into this tiny little room, and Doug was there and Mike was there. And I'm checking in. Hi, I'm Bill Meinhart. I'm coming to the con, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting my badge and stuff. And Sandy Peterson comes walking in right behind me. Now, I've not met Sandy Peterson before, but so he's in line with me, and I'm standing, in his proximity. And he turns to me just sort of out of the blue, and he says, "Hey, you want to get something to eat?" And I said, yes, I do. So we went to get something to eat, and I gave him the spiel that I used to give, which is, "Hi, I'm trying to get one of everything ever printed in the history of the hobby." And he said, "Oh, what are you looking for?" "Well, I have my sheets right here." And I pushed them across the table to him, and he's looking at them, and he says, "Oh, I have this one. Oh, I have this one. I have this one." He had about 8 of the things I was looking for. And he said, "Hey, you want to come home to dinner with me tonight? And, I'll get these items for you." And I said, "Yes, I would. Thank you." And so we drove 45 minutes to his house, and he calls up his wife. "Oh, yeah, I'm bringing a gamer home with me. Is that okay for dinner and to stay over the night?" His wife says yes. "Do you want to do that, Bill?" Yes, I do. So we go there, and he's got a wall. It's about 25 foot long, 8 foot high, and he's got all his game stuff on it. And he says, "Yeah, go through it." And I went through, and I ended up with a stack about
Oh, wow.
yay high of stuff, and I paid him for them, reasonable amount of money. And so I'm going up to he lives in what he calls the house that is Cthulhu built, and it's seriously, this house was like non-Euclidean geometry, and it was metal on the outside, and it just looked like it was house, Sandy Peterson's weird house. And so he had a ramp that goes up to the second floor that's metal. And so I'm going up to go to bed, and I cut myself on the stairway going up. And that was the
sacrifice.
That was the moment where I said, "Oh my God, he's brought me here for a sacrifice." And I called my wife and I said, "Dear, if I'm a Peterson sacrifice, I love you. And I don't know if I'll be calling you in the morning or not, but I did survive and came back to the con the next day." But that's an example of the kind of awesome, fun stuff that happens at North Texas. Out of the blue, I meet Sandy Peterson, go home with him, and end up with a stack full of stuff from his personal library.
And by the way, Bill was supposed to be in my B1 game that night, and he did say, "I'm sorry to miss your game," and I understood. I'm like, well, dinner with Sandy Peterson, my game.
Yeah.
I'll let you slide.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Yes. Sandy lives very close. We actually we had him at a couple of cons, and then we kind of lost touch with him. I tried to get back in touch this year, but I wasn't able to. So we'll see if we can get him. As Bill said, it's like a 45-minute drive to his house. It's weird how many people live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that you didn't know. I would have never guessed Sandy Peterson lives in Rockwall, Texas.
They're still trying to thaw out from having lived in Lake Geneva.
Yeah.
Those Wisconsin winters take a while to shake off.
True.
Just to explain a couple of the pictures that are in the scroll. There's one there where I'm in Alyssa's game because I finally got to play in one of Alyssa Faden's Cthulhu games, she lives up to the hype. There's a lot of hype around Alyssa, and people are crazy about her. She lives up to the hype. So get yourself into, and it was that. That's a post-con picture where it's Jim in his bunny ears. The reason with the bunny ears this year, what was important, was that I think it was the 50-year anniversary of Bunnies and Burrows, and we had Mike. Can you talk about a little bit?
Both are created. So Dennis Astaire he went to our first con. He's in our Hall of Fame. Long time attendee, lives in Austin. And a few years ago, his cohort for Bunnies and Burrows and his friend Dr. Scott Peterson came to the con also, and they've been running Bunnies and Burrows Ventures. Dennis hasn't run one in a while, and it just so happened that the 50th anniversary of the publication of Bunnies and Burrows this year, Gary and I wanted to make it something special for those guys. They're two of the nicest guys in gaming. I can't tell you how amazingly nice and wonderful they are. Dennis has helped out so much over the years. He's one of the judges for our Three Castles Award. He's just a great guy. And then we met Dr. Peterson. He's just a great guy also. Brings his entire family to the con. And so we made a big deal about it. We got him a birthday cake. The serving girls all dressed up in bunny ears. It was very much a bunny themed convention. We had lots of bunny themed things.
And
Jim, I think, broke the mold there. He went a little above and beyond. He had a light up bunny suit that
it was a jacket and a large pair of ears.
It was something,
but they were illuminated. Maybe that's the best way we should.
He was causing seizures all through the con as the lights flashed.
Well, it was only Saturday night. I kept it a secret until Saturday night because I didn't want anybody to have accidental exposure.
If you see a lot of pictures from this year's con with bunny ears, no, we weren't celebrating Playboys, something or whatever. That was all because of Dennis and Scott. And then we had a little seminar where they actually had some really interesting bits about the history of Bunnies and Burrows that I didn't even know. Well, a lot of little stories there. I thought it was really interesting.
But this is also classic NTRPG because at one point on Sunday, they both stopped me, and I put the coat and the ears back on just to sort of say goodbye to some folks. But they stopped me at one point, and I said, "Did you have a great?" They wanted a picture of me in my ludicrous coat and ears, and I said, "Did you have a great time?" And they said yes. And I can't remember which one of them it is that said it, but. It really, my impression is that the only convention that's recognized the 50th anniversary of Bunnies and Burrows is North Texas. And North Texas is going out of its way to make sure that the people who weren't necessarily the Dungeons and Dragons or the Arduin, the folks that were what we'll call sort of second tier creators, don't get lost in the pages of time. And I think, again, this goes back to what Doug really has a vision for the show, that he wanted to make sure that all aspects of the hobby's origins and roots were recognized for their contributions and so on. And the two guys did. They had a great time. They saw people wearing the buttons. The serving girls that take table orders and bring you food and so on had bunny ears. Like, it was all just as sweet as could be.
What was that poster, Jim, that Matt Roberts had done for it? Because the picture of me with Dennis, it was. I also put in. It looked like a Matt Roberts poster.
There was one. It was a picture we taken last year of them both together. Matt does his magic, and so our picture this year was both the creators of Bunnies and Burrows, and Matt, as always, did an amazing job on that one too. That was.
And I want to touch on one other thing that comes to mind about North Texas. North Texas has a limited amount of vendor space. And let me talk about why that's important for small cons. And it's interesting because at one point over the weekend, I had some interaction with the guy behind OSR Con that happened a few months ago. He had been on Talking Crit with Mike and I, and then he came up to talk to us about his experience. And oftentimes when you have a con that's growing, there is if we expand our hall space, we can get more vendors, and the vendors will charge them, and the amount of money we'll charge them will cover the down payment.
And we don't care who the vendors are, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Whoever, right. Warm body, we don't care.
Yes. But North Texas has always had a very tight leash on this because Doug understood for your vendors to want to come to the show, they have to make money and not just sell a few things. They have to cover their travel costs. They have to cover, they have to, it has to be a profitable show for them to attend, right? So Doug always understood that. And Doug had always kept the vendor space at a very level amount. He never just explosively grew it. If you have a show, it is very tempting to say, let's have 200 vendors. That'll be awesome. Well, that's great. Now your 20 vendors are 200 vendors and everybody's making $40 and nobody's covering their costs for the show.
And you tell the one vendor who's selling, onyx earrings that nobody's going to buy any. So they spend money for a table and then they sit there and they're like, well, I didn't make any money. We try to vet the vendors very carefully, try not to have too many of the same. I mean, we don't want 16 guys selling dice and dice towers. It's just, they're all going to cut into each other.
Yes. Oh my God, it's my 18th table of guys selling 3D print stuff, and they all have the same licenses, and they're all printing and selling the same things.
I'm not going to say which con that happened at that I was at this year. But
but the other part of that, and this dovetails into it very neatly, is that when you keep your number of vendors at a reasonable level, at a profitable level for all the vendors, that's how you build the vendors that keep coming back every year. So one of the vendors that's been with NTRPG from the beginning is the Barshes, Bill and Ben with Pacesetter Games. I think year 2 is when Black Blade came, is what I think I've heard. And Black Blade,
Alan Growy?
Yeah, GREYHAWK Jesus. That's his name. GREYHAWK Jesus. So they've been coming since year 2. But the most interesting thing is James Raggi. James Raggi was talking about this last year, and he said, I make more money in my booth at North Texas than I do at Gen Con.
Proportional.
Proportional. Well, yes,
because he makes more money at Gen Con, but he said to match the amount of money he makes per person at Gen Con, he'd have to make $800,000 at Gen Con, which he doesn't. We paid for him to come the first year, and he's wanted to come back every year. And this is only he only does 2 American cons, Gen Con and Archon. The reason is because he sells so much product.
He still lives in Finland?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
I did a map for him back 10, 12, 13 years ago or something like that. Yep.
He's the same James Raggi. We would make him wear clothes but at the con. But no, he loves coming.
Yeah, he's doing the guy behind the Lamentations of the Flame Princess. That's the James Raggi. Yep. I think that's his biggest product.
As Bill calls it, or as Bill's wife calls it.
My wife refers to, well, I should say quickly that up in our bedroom, on one side is all the Call of Cthulhu stuff, and on the other side is all the Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and my wife refers to it as the Finnish smut. So
okay, there you go. There's a lot of smut in it.
You're trying to set a mood there in your bedroom, Bill.
Yes, it's Bill, tentacles and Finnish smut.
Oh my God, in the bedroom. Holy shit.
The house, there are 16, there are about 20,000 books in the house, so they're kind of everywhere. So, I was going to say, Bad Mike, one of the things, you're very much your old school vibe that Jim was referring to earlier about not letting small press people get lost in the wake. You should talk about your publication history of things.
Can't see that. See that on stream. Barely read it.
So that's a copy of Palace of the Vampire Queen, a reprint.
Okay.
So this is actually a really good story. I have a theory that the reason that We Warriors has such a reputation now is because of Doug Ray. Doug Ray, the first year, was looking for something interesting to reprint. He contacted Peter Carriston, who, along with his wife Judy, was the owners of We Warriors. They printed the very first D&D module, correct, Bill? The very first D&D module printed was Palace of the Vampire Queen. He asked if he could have the rights for a reprint. And then Peter said, I don't understand why you want that. He didn't know anything. He'd been out of gaming for 25 years, had no clue that these were very sought after. So we published reprints of Palace of the Vampire Queen, Dwarven Glory, and Misty Isles, the first 3 years of the con. And people that had never gotten to see these, because these things, Bill can tell you, cons, you're looking at dropping $1,000 for anything like that. This was able for people who didn't want to drop that kind of money, who were collectors and never seen them. They were able to own a digest version of these products, and I really, really believe through that people became more aware of We Warriors, because at that point we had Peter at a couple of our cons. He talked to Bill at Pace Center about reprints, and Bill did a reprint of Palace of Vampire Queen. And after I don't remember the company that owns the rights now, that actually owns the rights. We were given verbal permission. This is a company that actually owns the rights. They've republished everything in the We Warriors catalog. I think even the board games and everything. So this all started with Doug, seeing if we could reprint the Battles of Vampire Queen. I don't think if Doug had ever asked him, we maybe still be looking for copies of Palace of Vampire Queen that nobody's ever seen, unless you want to drop $1,500 at an auction. But we've always been real big about trying to get that kind of stuff in the hands of collectors. We also usually have a lot of exclusive releases at North Texas. We do, gosh, there's probably about 2 or 3 series that get done. I know Bill does some every year. Tom Wilson and I have a series we call Basic Expert that we do every couple of years or so, and we do remakes. I'm still backwards. This is an X 1.5. This is an Isle of Dread add-on adventure, and we have a lot of people every year that they debut con only publications at the con. Yeah, there's the original X one. There's the Bunny Tales. That was given away by Dr. Robinson and Dr. Sestair. I just saw my con. Matter of fact, I'm just unpacking my stuff, Bill and Jim, from the con. I'm just
haven't
unpacking
unpacked
that,
yet.
and so I'm seeing all the stuff.
I got back and had surgery.
Yeah, you're going to be a while before you unpack. Here's a con only released by Greg Gillespie, who does the Dragon Slayer. That was a con only release, and
Maze, he was at CNY.
Yeah, it was, and I think he was selling copies of this. This is his new one, Beacon on the Barrel, Barrymore, and I think he first sold those last week at the con. So
1 of 9.
Yeah, I mean, so it's really, it's really been, Doug had a vision that the con would be this place where we would, debut stuff, and creators could meet other creators. Over the years, we've had a lot of deals go down, artists and writers who've met other artists, writers at the con. It's just been really cool. It's a really great atmosphere for creatives. Every year Lloyd Metcalf puts on an artist show in the bar. They have a giant table there. He gets Darlene and Chet Minton and Ken and James and a lot of these old school artist types, and they all go there and they sketch, and then they donate all the sketches to North Texas. And they just gave me the book they did this year, which will probably go up for auction next year. And it's just amazing. It's got sketches from all those, from Darlene. It's got Darlene sketches in there, and awesome. A lot of the other artists. I believe Jeff D was there too, and so was his wife Manda. That's just the kind of stuff it's cool, because if you miss a year, you get the worst FOMO ever, because you're missing a lot of special publications that only came out at that con that you might not be able to find again. And every year I'm always get these, just horrible emails like, "Man, I know I missed your con, but can you get me a copy of them?" I'm like, "No more. There's none." Oops. There was 100 copies. They sold out. We're done. That's it.
I'm going to ask a question, and then I want Anna to speak for the first time in this hour.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just listening. This is awesome.
Yes, it's a great discussion.
This is fantastic. I don't need to say anything.
We're promoting North Texas here now. Because we got a huge community. We had 50 plus people from this community go to GaryCon every year. Okay. A lot of people like Sparkles Mandy live in Texas. So it's not going to be any problem for her, and she's got a whole crew with her, probably another dozen. They're all probably coming to GaryCon this year, and North Texas, a hop, skip, and a jump. You're already at 600 capacity. Is that going to be a problem for next year? If we get another 100 people that come, I'm just saying.
Another 100 people would be, yes, that would be an issue. We literally wouldn't have room for them. Okay. But when you run a con, and I'm sure Josh can talk about this too, but usually about 10% of your people don't show up every year. You're down 10%, and
Right,
that's been
right.
very constant with us.
Okay.
We usually have 10% or more that just can't come. Now we do roll over tickets for 1 year, so that helps out some of the people that can't make it due to emergencies or
That's
something that comes
nice.
up.
It's very nice.
And a lot of cons don't do that. They don't roll over, but they can't. Bigger cons, it would be a nightmare to do this logistically to do
Yeah.
that. But we're able to do that. But we have always said that we will let people in as long as we have tables for people to game. And if it got to where we were, let's say we're at 650 and more people want to check in, we'd literally tell them, look, we don't have tables for you. We're not going to take your money. If you want to go to the vendor hall, because we do have a vendor hall pass where you can just go check out the vendors,
Okay.
we would do that. But that's why we do zero advertising, Jay. We don't do any. It's all
I
word
know.
of mouth.
True.
Yeah, we don't put flyers
Understood.
out.
Yeah.
Because we used to do that. We used to do shows. We would say, "Hey, man, please come to North Texas," and we'd put up flyers in all the local places. We don't do that now because we had a guy just contact me the other day. He goes, "Hey, would you like to have me at your con?" And nice guy, but I'd never heard of him. And when I saw what he did, I'm like, okay, well, he was an author. He wasn't really a gamer. And I said, well, we'll kind of pass on that. He's like, I feel like I could bring a lot of people into your con. I'm like, well, we don't really need that.
Right.
That's great, but that's not.
And that's the heart of this, right? That's the heart of this is the word of Texas is grown by word of mouth.
Mhm.
Or North Texas is grown by word of mouth.
Mhm.
And I hear what you're saying, Jay. And the
Just
first thing
asking.
I would say is the first thing I would say is nobody should be trying to gatekeep anybody from a show. I would say this. If there are people in your live stream community that have not been to North Texas who are in Dallas, Fort Worth, or an hour or two away, I would say to you, you should absolutely bookmark your calendar. And when North Texas announces that badges are going on sale, you should pick up a badge and you should come and see if it's the right show for you. But like North Texas doesn't have open gaming tables. There's
Right, they're
no
all full.
just big empty
It's
hall
full, yeah.
because again, the show has spread out so that you're not having to sit next to a table of people coughing and hacking and so on and so forth. There's plenty of space. There's plenty of air conditioning, and the word of mouth, you invite the people you like. You don't invite the people you don't like, which is why like the decent people to peckerhead ratio is 150 to 1.
Wow.
And that's pretty
Pretty high.
telling, right? I mean, really and truly.
We've had very, very few problem guests over the
Yes.
years, but we have no problem asking people to leave. We've had to do that on a couple occasions because of just really bad stuff, but we don't have a problem with that. But there's very few. We don't typically have an issue with that because as Jim says, it's we're getting the people that understand what we're doing, and sometimes we'll get people in there and they'll say, why don't you have more of fill in the blank,
You pick
why
your
don't you have more
friends.
Pathfinder? I want a big Pathfinder, and we're like, look, you come and you play whatever game you want. If you want to play Pathfinder, fine. Go ahead and sign up, do your Pathfinder game. But we're not going to push any particular brand of D&D. People there play everything from OD&D to 5th edition. And they play all sorts of other games. Call of Cthulhu, Boot Hill. I mean, how many cons run multiple Boot Hill sessions? We run Boot Hill,
Right.
We had Bunnies and Bros the last few years. We have a lot
Gamma
of
World. I snuck into Steve's Gamma World game.
Yeah, Steve Winter. Yeah.
Merle Rasmussen running Top Secret.
That's right.
Man, that sounds awesome.
And Alan Hammock runs a series of Boot Hill games. And again, it's a knife fight in a phone booth to get into these because it's Alan Hammock running Boot Hill.
Yeah.
And
okay.
and I think here's the thing, right? Like North Texas could be considered a regional show, but it isn't because it pulls people from all over. It pulls people from Canada. It pulls people from all 50 of the U.S. states, et cetera, et cetera. But you pick your friends, you pick the ones you love, and you pick who you tell how great North Texas is. And this is a much larger audience. We talk about North Texas all the time on Talking Crypt, but for the folks who are watching this now on your stream, I would encourage you. Not only if you're close to Dallas Fort Worth and you haven't been to North Texas and you like a lot of older games and you want to come by and you haven't, you absolutely should. It's always the first weekend in June. It's
Jim,
easy to.
we didn't mention that Wednesday night's free. We don't.
There you go.
Wednesday night, every Wednesday night before the con, you can just walk around for free if you want to. But if you want to sit down and play games, you want to go to the vendor hall, it's all free. So we have a lot of people they just show up for Wednesday night. They game and they say that was great. I can't afford to come this year, but thanks for letting me game, and they'll leave, and maybe they'll come back next year or the year after. But that's a good way to check it out.
But the other side of it is, and I really would say this, is take what you love about North Texas and take it to your local shows. You know, Alex has turned Gamehole into a much larger operation than North Texas. But one of the things that really guided his hand of what he wanted and what he liked were things that he saw at North Texas. Great shows emulate each other. Great shows steal great ideas from one another. They don't steal them, they share them, or they copy, you know, what works. But your smaller regional shows like CNY, these are shows that are important, right? The OSRCon guy, he's going to have another show. He's thrilled that he had 150 odd people. And this is how you grow, because you can't grow from 150 to 1,500 overnight. That's ludicrous. But if you're a smaller show that delivers, that sticks the landing and gives people what they like, that listens to its audience and doesn't sort of dictate, well, it's only going to be this, or it's only going to be this, or we're not going to have any of that. No, like listen to what people are telling you, because there's nothing about North Texas that isn't something you can't replicate in Omaha, that you can't replicate in Tallahassee, that you can't replicate in Raleigh-Durham or anywhere else, because it's really about decent people who love the hobby, who come together and go forward. I
think that's a big part of it, Jim, is that it's the folks running the convention.
Yes.
The folks involved that make it fun. I mean, I was a little intimidated to go to my first ever convention. It was going to be GaryCon in 2020 because, I'm not a professional gamer and whatever. I just enjoyed, playing D&D, maybe some other systems I don't need to go into. But, obviously I didn't make it to GaryCon in 2020, but that kind of screwed me up. But all these other conventions that I go to, and like NTRPG, it just makes me want to go to more conventions, because we talk about not gatekeeping. That's not what it's really about. Is when you go to North Texas, it feels like a family reunion. Even though I know a few people going ahead of time, yes, but Bill and I met some dude in the hallway, and we're telling him to come back. He's like, "This was amazing, my first convention." And we're like, "Come back." And he goes, "What other conventions do you guys go to?" And I go, "Well, GaryCon." And then I think I was passing you or Gary Oliver at the time. I'm like, "I'm not trying to poach your people."
Yeah, we can't. That's when we banned you at that. Yeah.
So Curtis in chat says good volunteers helps too. I think that was a jab right at you, Josh.
No, it's again, it's the people running the show. So like Curtis, who is, I had to play the ace, right? When I put Curtis on Tower Gygax with him and the gang, because this is my last card up my sleeve, because we were looking for someone to own it, because you need someone to spend the time to do it. Curtis was there, and he took it and ran with it. And they
have to be invested in the con, right, Josh? I mean, you have to be invested in the con, right, Josh? I mean, you have to care about what's going on and what they're doing. That's we've been very important.
So hold on a second, Mike. I want you to finish what you're saying, but I also want to point out, because Jay's been asking me questions about some of these pictures. Who are these pictures that he's scrolling by? Yeah. This is Susan Hammock. I spend a lot of time with Alan and Susan.
Now her face is covered by a Patrick thing.
Patrick.
They turned this pump up thing on in Streamlabs. I never turned that one on. I just have the.
Obviously, that's Heidi, and I see her in Lake Geneva. That's not a big shocker. But you go to these conventions like GaryCon, like NTRPG, and you are made to feel you're with your people. Like my son won't go join the D&D club at high school, and it's a little disappointing. He wants to play. The next one, that's Chet on the right.
Yep.
And then over on the left is the artist near me. Actually, I don't know what left and right is, but the guy in the red shirt is the one that does a lot of the graphics or the art for the Leonard Lakofka archive.
Joey Dossel.
What's that?
Joey Dossel.
Yes, that's Joey Dossel.
Yeah. What's up, Prof?
Let me throw something in too. I always talk about how you can always tell the heart of a convention by what the convention really comes across. If the convention is run by people who love the hobby, who really want to just share the hobby with other people, and again, this is why we say North Texas is a great reflection of Doug Ray's vision. Gamehole is a great reflection of Alex Kamer's vision. Gary Kahn started after the funeral for Gary, but Luke has absolutely masterfully steered the hand of making this a testimony to his father's legacy.
That's Dennis Astaire there.
Who is it?
That's Dennis Astaire.
Next to that's the Bunny and Burrow poster that Matt Roberts did.
Yes.
I didn't. That's one person I didn't recognize. Thank you.
So what I would say is it's very obvious when you see shows that are much more about how do we extract every dollar we can from our attendees. That's where you get that itchy feeling in the back of your neck. I would always point out the greatest success story I know of where gamers came together to create something, just let's play together and so on, and had it and grabbed a tiger by the tail as Adepticon. You had a bunch of guys in Chicago who just wanted to play 40K together, who came together about getting some tables and doing a little tournament and so on and so forth. And Adepticon is now the #1 miniatures event in the world. It is more attended than anything else, than Salute in the UK or the other one.
There's Bill victoriously saving us all from, well, except for me, from death. I died at Steve Winter's Shadow Dark game.
Okay.
And that's a great point. Shadow Dark, small cons are where things like Shadow Dark start to make their ripples in the pond and start to make their waves in the pond. And North Texas was the first place I had ever heard about Shadow Dark. And
we're
Kelsey,
actually the first. By the way, we're the first con to ever have Kelsey as a guest.
Yes,
I was drinking the Kool-Aid really early on, and we had her come. We were the very first con to ever have her a special guest. She couldn't make it this year, but she's been to every con since. She's an absolutely wonderful person.
That's Roberts.
Matt
the
Roberts,
artist who does the psychedelic posters and stuff, which we will be having for GaryCon too, perhaps this year.
Yes.
I see BattleTech in the background. Bill, are you running BattleTech?
That's the BattleTech game. Yeah,
that's BattleTech.
This is Bill. This is an important picture because it's Bill on a cell phone, and that's amusing.
Yes.
We're all outside.
Very
that's
proud
a fire
of Bill.
truck
I didn't know
because
he had
it's
a cell phone.
That was the point. That everyone was shocked.
Don't say too much about it. He'll get skittish.
Oh my gosh!
But there's a fire truck out there too, because
we had a false fire alarm, which all I can say is it was better than the year we had the 5 a.m. false alarm. 2 p.m. isn't as bad as having to get up at 5 a.m. and walk down 14 flights of stairs to have them say, "Oh, false alarm! Go back, go back."
The emergency responders had nothing to do with me having the cell phone, by the way.
I often say that I can't shake the magic 8 ball and tell you who the next Kelsey Dion is going to be 5 years from now. But what I will say is the odds are that whoever that next person is in our industry, the person who will have a game that lights a match and gets that attention and does very, very well with the crowdfunding and so on, their start will come at a small con.
Mm-hmm.
They'll come to a con, they'll look at things. The odds are heavier that they'll be at a small con first, and that's where they will start to get their roots planted before they make it to something like Gen Con, Gary Con,
right.
Gamehole Con, and so on. And that's again why I encourage you, like, you have to support your local shows because they're a part of your community, and you really, really want to help support your community.
Oh,
Jake,
exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. So yes.
Jake, can you go back 2 pictures? Can you do that?
I can't. But whose was it?
It was Alyssa Fade. So
I'm gonna bring it up. Let me bring it up real quick. I have them all here on my thing. They're just in a scroller. I can't stop.
Make sure you get the correct folder, Jay, not the other folder.
Yeah,
Alyssa Fade pick.
The game that Josh put.
I got it. And then I'm gonna scroll through some picks on CNY after this up with the big. There we go. How's that?
There we go.
Blow it up.
So there you go, Josh. Go ahead.
Oh, well, that's Alyssa, and we somehow survived with a lot more unnecessary violence, but it was wonderful.
And in that game, who was playing the brain in the jar?
Oh, the person on the far, yeah, that guy right there where you had your mouse a second ago.
Right there.
Yeah, that person.
So one person was literally playing the character that was a brain in a jar, and she had the prop there of the brain in the jar. So
Alyssa is par excellence. I mean, if you get a chance to play with her, it's I'm nobody great. I can play D&D, I can play Call of Cthulhu, whatever. I went in, I had an absolute blast. Everyone in the group did. Mark Greenberg ran a Call of Cthulhu game too. It was exquisite. The amount of detail and
preparation.
That's good.
was just like wow. There's another picture in there that I sent to you, which was me and Alyssa at the midnight auction before it started.
I had 6 minutes to get this together.
By the way, Josh,
I came back from the airport.
Call of Cthulhu was our most played game this year. We had Jeff Richards, who's I believe president of.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I had him on the show a little while ago. He's great.
Well, he got talked into coming by three people, and I believe Josh, you were one of them. Steve Getty or somebody. And they talked him into coming during Chaosium Con. He came and he had a blast. And he wants Chaosium to have a bigger footprint at North Texas.
Well, that means Tiffany will definitely be going
awesome
next year. Because she writes
quite possibly. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Tiffany's working with them as well.
I want to go over the game she did at CNY real quick here because it was all right. So first off, though,
we wish we could have been there too.
You're allowed to shave, Josh, at cons. Okay.
No, he doesn't have time.
All
no
right.
time.
You're allowed to shave at least in the morning. So let's just share that. Sorry.
You said you didn't mind it when I had stubble.
Yeah, I know. I kind of like it. So all right, real quick. So I ran 2 games at CNY. There's a bunch of ones with selfies. We don't need to go over that. But so I ran 2 games. So this gentleman over here, that is John Savage Splendor in chat. Okay. So it was great to meet one of our long-time viewers, supporters in person. And that made it all the difference. He lives right near this. This is outside Utica. So it's a 5-hour drive for me from South Jersey, Philly area where I live. So Tiffany flew into Philly. We drove up together. Went and then we've had all this problems trying to get her out of the airport. She's still stuck in the Philly airport right now. So that's why she's not on. But so great game. This was a good game. This was an ancient awakening. The final thing was they found a burial site of a champion of. I want to see if Bill Meinhart knows this. Where does this come from? A champion of Crovis, the Flan hero deity. What article is that in Dragon Magazine? You don't answer it, Anna.
No, I'm not.
Come on, you gotta know your GREYHAWK lore.
And who wrote it? Do you know who wrote it?
You put me on the spot.
It's tough.
I don't know the answer. I'm sorry.
Go to the book of Crovis.
Go ahead, Anna.
See Pomarsh and Die.
Yes, Joe Block.
By Joe Block.
Yes. So there you go.
Yep.
Really, that was a fun one. And then let's see what we got here. That's one. This is day 2. So there was only one slot. It was 4:00 to 8 on Friday. This is a Saturday morning game. So I got Steve, I got Tiffany in the game. I got 2 players that were already in. And so we talked about this earlier. Tiffany's very bubbly. She plays a character in my campaign, Gemma Winchester. She's like, we can be all friends and stuff. And the older lady here, Michelle, she goes to the character. Her character, they're both elves. Are you high? It was freaking hysterical. She's such a great role player. That was a fun game. This one was Return of the Summoner. So that was one where I have a lot of portals in my GREYHAWK, and it was a Backloonish summoner who was summoning Afrits, Marriage, Jins, Jans, Deos. You pronounce that Deo or Dow, Bill?
Dow.
Dow. Okay. Deo sounds like the song, right?
That's right.
This is Tiffany running brand new rules RuneQuest game. These rules are not out yet. Okay, for the new edition of RuneQuest. So I played in the game along with Steve and 3 others. This was a whole lot of fun. We played session 1 of season 1. There's like 4 seasons in this, going to be in this new box set for the new RuneQuest rules. This was the second one on Saturday. It was a blast. We had a great time on this one. Look, there's Jason Vay. Alpha Games is right in the background back there. If you know Jason, his booth. So it's very small con, but it was very intimate. And there's the group for that one. We had, like I said, we had a great time. with this event. Oh, I gotta show this again. I don't know why am I showing this, John? I have no idea. These gentlemen are unbelievable. You're right. These gentlemen are unbelievable. Big announcement coming tomorrow night on Tiffany's channel. But I am giving away some stuff from them tonight, so we can all put two and two together. Great. Cannot wait for all the new stuff that we're gonna have to offer to our community on streams and giveaways. All right, that's enough for CNY. I'll say this. It's the second year at CNY. I didn't make it to the first year. Roger asked me to come. I said, I think you can get Tiffany. We organized it, so they had 2 extra VIP guests. It was worth it. Not a lot of people there as far as guests goes, but that made it a little more special, right? It just, we were easily accessible. They had a scavenger hunt where they had to get all the VIP guests and the vendors stamped on a thing for the scavenger hunt. That was cool. They did a lot of neat things. They had a Conan the Barbarian movie night Friday night. So with popcorn, everyone's watching Conan. It was cool. They do some things a little different. They had a wonderful auction. That RuneQuest game was running late, so there was this whole wonderful miniature setup that was done by Thunderstruck, which is Mike Saxton, Emperor's Choice Arduin's guys, gave them all the minis for it, all metal, and then Troll Den painted it up, and it went for a ridiculously low price. And when I came in afterwards, I said, Roger, let me just pay more money. I'll put it on my live stream upcoming. He's like, no problem. So I got that. That's downstairs. I showed some of the minis from that. Really a really nice gesture from him. It was a nice con. So
what Roger seems to be doing, I've talked to him a bunch on the phone. We talk quite a bit, and he seems to be doing everything right. And I talked to Eric, obviously Eric Tenkar quite a bit, and he's been.
Yeah, Eric was there too.
He was last year. Yep, and we just think he's doing everything right. That he's not trying to rush this. He's not trying to expand too quickly. He's not trying to get a lot more guests than he really needs. Because you're right, you don't have to have a lot of guests at first, because the reason they come is to play. Guests are great too. It's great to have guests there, but the reason they come is to game. And I think Roger is. I just think he's doing everything right. I wish him a lot of luck.
It was Mike. Yeah, Retro Gamer MF in chat. That's Mike Saxton, Thunderstruck, another big community member for a long time, and he does a lot of wonderful 3D prints. So I pick up at least one every time he's at a con. We're at a con together. Nice towers, really beautiful looking. So he does a really good work. So that bodes well for a con that will help lift up others. Josh and I had this discussion a couple weeks ago, because it's a minor incident here and there, saying how we all need these cons. Jim, you're absolutely right. We need these cons to exist. And I said to Roger was like apologizing for stuff. I said, Roger, don't worry about it. Tiffany and I came, there's nothing to apologize for. Oh, I know, but I'd love to have done this for you or done that for. I was like, don't worry about it. We came because we wanted to participate. So
you got to walk before you run.
Yeah.
Nail the basics, and nobody will have a problem with it. It's just, yes, we know a con that has pushed off using tabletop events. They're at the size now where they need to use tabletop events. You may not like tabletop events for whatever your reasons, but tabletop events is a seamless way of handling larger convention game registration. And I had the conversation with this person, the principal behind the show, and I said, I don't particularly care what your religious arguments are, but you've wasted 2 years claiming you're going to engineer your own solution, when the solution is right there. And when you look at the pennies, and I mean pennies, that it costs you to use something like tabletop events for registration, it's so worth it just not to have the hassle. You can, and people figure this out. But if you have 150 people coming to your con, you don't need tabletop events, right? You could do this on index cards, and this stuff is easy to handle. But if you put your heart in it, you get it mostly right. People aren't going to remember you for the insignificant things that didn't quite work out. It's like a wedding. There will always be something that goes wrong, but that doesn't mean at the end of the day you didn't get married. Everything's fine.
Jay, when you talked about movie at the show, or the Conan movie, I started going to Gen Con in 1978. So this is going to be my 48th Gen Con this year.
Wow.
And one of the fun things back in the day was they would show movies at the convention. And it was incredible how many people were watching a showing of Star Wars, were watching a showing of, whatever the movie was that was
The
playing.
Warriors.
The Bakshi Lord of the Rings movie. And what I was just thinking about was at North Texas, by having Satan's Midnight Auction at midnight, what else is somebody going to be doing at midnight? So it gets a lot of people there, and it really feels it's not, of course, but it feels like a whole congregation of everybody, and it really wraps up the show with a bow. And so it's really nice for that. It feels like we're all in this thing together. And I've said this about North Texas, is that it feels like going to Gen Con in the 70s, where we really feel very closely connected at that show, and which is why we smile and pay Satan's prices at the midnight auction.
Well, Doug would be very happy to hear you say that, Bill, because that was kind of his whole vision, and I think he'd be very, very happy to see where the con's at now. He'd be happy to know that Gary and I haven't screwed it up yet. That'd be, I think he figured we would have just stunk it by now, but he had it set up so well. We pretty much just runs itself, except for a couple of changes that we've all instituted over the years, which I think have actually bettered the con. So.
Yeah. How many years have you run it? Oh, sorry. How many years have you run it?
This was our 18th year, Anna.
Okay, 18th year. Awesome.
Yeah, that's our 18th. Yeah, next year will be our 19th. So it's been 18 years. And it's kind of funny because we still get people that go, I've never heard about your con. So we kind of fly under that radar.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, not doing
That's okay.
Not getting bigger and not doing average. I think this year proved if we wanted to have over 1,000 people, it would have been no problem at all. Because we sold out of our seats in January, and it was all walk up. So I think that it wouldn't be any problem to get bigger. It's just not what we want. And that was by design. By design is we want to stay like the small, because I have a very soft spot in my heart for the sci-fi and comic cons. Now there weren't really any small game cons back then, but you could find comic cons and sci-fi cons back in the late 70s, early 80s. I have a very soft spot in my heart for those because they were great. You go there, they'd have one special guest, you kind of heard maybe they had Philip Jose Farmer, which I went one time. That was, to me, that was like, oh my God, Philip Jose Farmer. And, but that was it. They didn't have any other special guests. And I just love those kind of cons. You just walk in, you just talk to people. The old comic cons, I remember walking to John Burns' table and talking to him for like 2 hours because it was just, there's not a lot of people there. And that's kind of what we wanted with our con. I think we've developed that. I think you've got to where you can walk up, and if you want to sit next to Darlene and talk to her for 30 minutes, no problem at all. Yeah. And she can sign autographs and sketch or do whatever. And you're sitting there talking to Darlene, asking her, about Jasmine card game or whatever. And she's just telling you. Jim and I had a fascinating conversation with her a few years ago. We were auctioning off some stuff of hers, and so we had to talk about every item that she had and where it came from and what it did. And that was an interesting conversation, wasn't it, Jim? It was.
I found out a lot more about her interest in Leonard Nimoy than I ever expected.
Yeah, it was a little creepy, her interest in Leonard Nimoy. As a matter of fact,
yeah, hit him over the head, drag him back to her lair. It was
not just a member of the fan club. She had every article he ever appeared in cut out of magazines and
teenage Darlene had a thing for Leonard Nimoy.
Those
it was
pointed
just
ears
too
were
sweet
just
for her.
driving us crazy.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So I want to throw two things out. Number one, your streamers, all the folks watching the stream should know. Really, North Texas has a January game day, which is a weekend at the same hotel, the Westin, that's near DFW, that literally is just people who get together and play games. And this is starting to take a life of its own. How many people were there this past year?
This has been hilarious, Jim, because you're right. I think it was the third year. The first year we had like 20 people maybe show up.
Yes.
And it was like, kind of, we're going to game Friday and Saturday. I like it because I could actually run games without being freaked out about having to run a con. And then the next year there was a little more. There was close to, 40, 50. This year, I believe we had 55 people or more. We had people fly in, which is crazy. Jim flew in. Kim George, we had a lot of people flying from different parts of the United States just for our dumb little game day that we had set up. But it's very much like North Texas Light. You go there and it's the same people, and so that's developing its whole thing on its own. And I'm actually kind of scared to see how many people we can get next year. We may have to start actually doing a second real con if
it's a lot like Winter Fantasy. TSR used to put on Winter Fantasy in the dead of winter, which was all the best things of Gen Con and 90% of the worst out of Gen Con just pushed to the side. So it was a great show. I got there once. I just have always had soft spot for it. But I would throw out to anybody watching this who's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you absolutely should put the North Texas January games weekend on your calendar, because it is just, here's a bunch of tables and let's all get together and play games and so on. The other thing sorry,
I was like 2 years ago, we got to share the hotel with a biker gang. So that was actually,
yes.
And I'm not joking.
Yes.
They had a convention there. It was a biker, a club.
So,
club. If I may interrupt you real quick, there's a picture of GREYHAWK Jesus there with Josh.
Yes, Alan GREYHAWK Jesus.
Alan literally grew up 6 miles from me. I lived in Barrington. He lived in near Pennsauken, and we never met in South Jersey ever. Until like years ago. Yeah, never met.
So I want to make a big point, and then I want to pass this back to Mike for a little point. So number one is, every con has to have two people in it. Every con has to have two people at the core of the show. You've got to have a face guy, and that's Mike. You got to have somebody who is willing to go out there and go on shows and talk about the show and so on and so forth. But the other thing you absolutely have to have, and you depend on, and it's your lifeline, is the numbers guy. And that's the guy who can do the spreadsheets. That's the guy who talks to the hotel. That's the guy who negotiates with the food trucks. That's the guy that makes sure the nuts and the bolts happen. And North Texas has the benefit of Gary Oliver. Gary Oliver is a fantastic behind the scenes nuts and bolts guy. And truthfully, when Doug Ray passed away, I think there were some people who sort of, I don't know, and that was horseshit. Really,
we were told that, Jim. We were told by certain people who I actually give a hard time now that, it was a great con while it lasted, but and you guys are probably going to do a good job with the last one, but that's it, right? You guys aren't doing this anymore.
Well, and they can go blow a goat. I really I can't say it enough. Every show has to have the cost and caution guy. You have to have a guy who runs the numbers. You have to have a guy who absolutely has a hand on the purse strings and understands it. They're transparent about everything with the other owners, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to have that combination. Now, Gary and Mike, one of the things that I first noticed with North Texas is food trucks. And Mike, why don't you talk about food trucks and how that's become?
So this is more small cons should avail themselves of food trucks. Where we moved to, it is a food desert. There is a Denny's across the street, and
which is the worst restaurant in the country, by the way.
It's a bad Denny's. It's not even a good Denny's. It's a bad Denny.
The hotel food though was actually it was good.
The hotel food's fine, except that, Josh, they're a hotel. They're not set up for conventions. You may wait an hour because they only have X amount of people that can work in the kitchen.
That was the one drawback at CNY. They had like maybe two waitresses on, table service, a big bar, and sometimes food took like an hour and a half. Right, because that was the one drawback. But
it's overlooked, Jay, in a lot of cases, and you really need to deal with it. So early on, there's a lot of restaurants about a mile and a half away, which you could walk, but not in Texas in the summer. Right. We decided early on we would get food trucks, and it's just blown up. And now this year we try to get 2 every shift. So we're going to try to get them later next year. But food trucks have been amazing because that lets people not have to leave the convention, and they can actually go and get tacos, sandwiches, hamburgers, barbecue, whatever we have. And also we have a system where special guests eat free at the food trucks. So for special guests, that's part of their what they get as being a special guest is they can go to the food truck, show their badge, there's a little symbol on it, and they get free food while they're there too. But
it also it addresses something, and Mike, this is a really critical point. God love their hearts. Hotels are not prepared for the way gaming conventions eat food.
Well,
and I had the classic.
They just can't.
Yes,
I worked at the Hilton for a year way back in the 80s, and you just realize that they're geared for certain things. Like there's certain hotels that they put on giant productions every week. It's no big deal. Oh, your convention has 2,000 people, psh, whatever. But there's a smaller hotel literally cannot handle being full and the influx of people that they can't handle it getting the rooms clean. We had a lot of people had problems with getting the rooms clean this year because every room was filled. We filled up the entire freaking hotel. They're not used to dealing with that. And then this also goes with the restaurants. If you go to a convention and they have a restaurant, but it's just a restaurant, it's not a big giant serving area, you're going to have food that's going to be late. It might be not cooked right. They can't handle the rush of people.
Yep.
And so we were educated early on. This is something we're going to have to deal with as people that run cons. And I know a lot of cons, when I talk to them, one of the first things I say when they talk about starting cons is, what is your food situation? If you have everybody shows up in between a game, wants to eat, can you handle that? Do you have shuttles? Do you have nearby restaurants? We were very lucky. The restaurant we had before, and Bill remembers this, you could walk. There was a lot of restaurants right behind the hotel. It was great. The Marriott. It was a wonderful hotel because there was places to eat. Right, I mean, you just walked over. There's like 15 places to eat. It was awesome. We didn't have that, so we're having to figure out how can we deal with that and make it so people can actually get a meal in between games, because most people only have an hour. You know, they schedule games every 4 or 5 hours, and they'll get like an hour here, hour there. If they don't want to actually leave the area, they have to have a place to eat. So I put that down as one of the most important things you have to deal with when you're just thinking about running a con. Where's the places to eat? And there's been some cons lately that they've had some problems with that. I can say
Would
that.
you like an $8 hot dog? Because this place has $8 hot dogs.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I know
a sporting event for an $8 hot dog.
Alex dealt with that because he has a game hall at a convention center, and it's a typical extremely overpriced, extremely underproduced food. I mean, it's not good and it's expensive. So he just said, you know what, we're gonna have food trucks, and he has a great food truck set up outside, and he's got a whole line of them. But he had to work that out. He didn't want all these people having to eat at the convention center, and the restaurants are way too far away at Game Hole, and so he dealt with it by, I'm going to hire 10 food trucks, and they're all different kinds. He has a great situation there, but you have to look at that and say, how can I get food to my guests? Because yes, Jim's right. Gamers like to eat. We like to do a lot of things too.
Well, tell them about the bar. Tell them about the conversation you had to have with the hotel about the bar.
Well, the hotel bar. So that's another thing too.
Another bartender. Yeah,
you might want to make
people waiting for drinks is a nightmare.
Well, that's one thing we've had to work out the last 2 hotels we stayed at. We had to stay open later than normal, and they had to get extra help because they don't understand that gamers are drinkers, and I mean like big drinkers. And we the first time we were at we had this problem at the Marriott all the time. When we first came to Weston, we said, look, here's what our needs are. Oh, we can handle it. No, you can't handle it. We need to be open till 1 o'clock because a lot of games are over at midnight, and we need at least 2 or 3 people behind the bar. And so they didn't. So Gary pleaded and begged and said, with the first time we're there, just stay open one night and see what happens. And sure enough, after that one night, they made like $4,000.
Yeah,
like, okay,
no
we'll stay away. We'll stay open the rest of the time. But that is actually an overlooked thing too, Jim. Is you have to, the drinking situation. You don't want people driving. You don't want them going somewhere drinking and coming back. God knows you don't want that. You want them to be able to be in the hotel. So you have to talk to the hotel management or convention center manager and say, look, how can we get you to stay open later to serve these patrons? You are going to make a lot of money. And I am just always shocked at the hotel.
Just look at them. Don't they look like a bunch of drunks? Come on.
These degenerates. Look at these degenerates here. But I'm always surprised. But a lot of hotels don't care. Like, whatever. And they lose out on a lot of money. And you really, that's one thing you have to be really, really in tune with the hotel you're at. And luckily the hotel we're at, they do a lot of things for us we don't ask for. When they put all the dice up and the game stuff, that's all the hotel does that for us. They put up all these decorations.
They make cookies.
Yeah,
yes.
That's all the stuff they do. We don't ask them to do that. We don't pay for it. That's because they get what we're doing. They understand these guys are having a game convention. They spend a lot of money here. They fill the hotel. We're going to make this a pleasant experience. You'd be surprised how many hotels. I've heard of more than one con runner who has hotels kicked them out. Said, we just don't like your kind. We don't like gamers. We don't like money. That's what they're basically saying.
No, I don't want to make all this money.
No,
I
would hate
I'm
to make
tired of
money.
fanning myself with $100 bills. Yes.
Mike, if you're talking about the food situation, you should probably talk about your serving ladies.
So that was another. Now that was a Doug and Mike idea, because one of our first cons, we had a man that attends. He used to work for Judges Guild. God, I can't remember the name. Paul. And he his daughter said, "Hey, what if I dressed up? I go to Renaissance fairs. Can I dress up in a barmaid's uniform and then grab the drinks and stuff and bring it to the table?" We said, "That's no, that sounds like a great idea." It was genius. I mean, this girl worked the entire time. This is, I think, year 3 or 4, Bill. I don't know if you remember. It was the Staybridge. So it was year 2 or 3. It was real early on. And then we went from there. We said, well, who is really good about this? I knew a girl that did promotions. Her name was Olivia. And I said, can you get us other promotion girls? And can you do this? We moved to a bigger hotel. Well, she did. And we went through an interview process. Everything, we looked at girls, we looked at their resumes, and we hired another girl. And then she and Olivia did it the first years at the Marriott and did a great job. And people were just nuts. The fact they didn't have to get up and get their food. They just would put in orders. All our DMs get snacks and drinks for free from the girls. If you're running a game, the companies that can help you, yeah, I want a Diet Coke and bag of chips, they'll bring it back to you. And as you see from this year, it's expanded. We have 5 girls now that work. And Jessica's been with us, I believe. Well, she did her 10th anniversary, so it's almost been 15 years since Jessica's been with us, and she runs the girls. I mean, she's the the top. She tells everybody what to do and where to go, and she works out the schedules. And they have at least 2 girls every shift. We sponsor them. We have sponsors buy T-shirts for them, so we don't even have to clothe the girls anymore. The sponsors pay $100 or whatever for them to wear their T-shirts for their game, and it's been phenomenal. And I'm really shocked that more conventions don't do that also.
But
Because
let's talk to a couple of the more open things. Number one is the table service like this is a courtesy for the attendees. And larger shows, Gary Con used to have table service to a degree, and the Grand Geneva is really, really great about that. But when you have a 2,500, when you have a game
it's
hall,
almost impossible. Yeah, Jim,
logistically it gets hard. But the other side of this is, the women who do this at North Texas, it is very clearly made understood to the attendees that they're there to help you get your food and nothing else. And so if you get ass grabby hands or something like that, that's a fast ticket out of the show and probably a beat down in the parking lot.
You might get your ass beat at the table. Luckily, we've
Yes.
never had that happen.
Yes.
Well, we had a special guest a long time ago that's never come back to the show that was very forward towards one of the girls, like complimented her quite a bit, and that was a no-no. We told him that's a
Didn't he leave? He was asked to leave the same day.
Yeah, we didn't invite him back because that's not what they're there for.
Stupid.
They're there to be pleasant, serve your food, and they're just absolutely wonderful. We love all of them, and like I said, it's been, gosh, we probably had them it's been 17, no, 60, yeah, about 16 or 17 years.
They're your sisters, not your target of opportunity.
Right. All right. I have a question for Anna and me. Okay. Being that fringe VIP guest that I am, okay, just getting on that with the stream thing. So, for example, I've been invited to be a special guest at Origins next year.
Oh,
okay.
Very nice, very nice.
What I don't, all right, but it's probably the weekend after. It's the weekend after CNY, and CNY is a growing con, smaller, more local. 2 weeks ago, you guys were the week before. Concoction, right down in Vineland, New Jersey, was the week before, right? So I got 4 cons in this month. Give me, because how would you, for Anna, myself, or any other person who's special guesting at these small cons, how do you prioritize what con to go to?
I would throw out a couple of things. Number one is Origins used to be one of the biggest shows in the U.S. It's on its way back up after a number of years of languishing. But every show has its own flavor. Origins for a long time was a board game show, and it's now turned the wheel and is becoming other things. And I think what you have to realize is you have to go to where your audience is as a streamer, as somebody who serves the community in your capacity.
Yeah.
I would say more than anything else, I say this with a lot of love, but going to a small show that's an hour away is not an arduous journey to Mordor and back. right?
No, you're right.
It's easy. Maybe you don't even commit for the entire weekend. Maybe you commit for Saturday or Friday night, Saturday night, and you come home Sunday morning. But again, this goes back to my point of you have to support your local show. You have to support the smaller cons because the word of mouth you gain from going to the smaller shows, for being that guy, being that good side of that guy for the smaller shows, then is what also helps you when you go to Origins and it's a much larger exposure of people who are there and so on and so forth. I think you have to try to do your best. I get asked, I've been asked to be the auctioneer at different events. And when somebody asks me if I'd be willing to be the auctioneer, I never say no, right? If I'm there for your charity auction and I'm there to help you raise money, Bill's friend Mark Greenberg asked me to help out with a fundraiser in Chicago. And I had a very silly time wearing a tuxedo in front of a bunch of theater people, and it was great. But if somebody says, "Hey, I need some help," I'm going to be there to help. And a lot of the smaller shows, when they ask you to be a special guest, it's not just because they want to bask in the illumination of your presence, Jay. They need your help.
Yeah,
and
I agree. No,
I
you're
think
dead on
that's the
right.
paradigm of how you look at it.
Okay.
My answer is I think you should take your victory lap and go be a special guest at Origins. That's my answer.
Yes.
So
yeah, but I think do them all.
I say do anything you can, but make sure Origins is your priority there. That would be my
okay.
Yes.
It's with like these all fell in 4 successive weeks.
Well,
right.
and so
and that's yeah.
Just suck it up, Jay. Suck it up, Jay.
Suck it up, Jay.
And then you have all July to rest. You can
God.
rest all July.
Oh no! The people love me and they want to see me everywhere.
I've been asked to wait too many conventions this year.
I'm not retired from my real career yet, right? With all this other stuff going on, I got 2.5 years till I really go full time here. Right?
You might have to make a con check, but.
Yes, but take handfuls of airborne every day. I used to tell this story. I haven't told this story in a long time. I'll tell it real quick.
Yeah, sure.
So at Gaines Workshop, Origins was one of the big summer shows because there was always a lot of 40K at Origins, and then Gen Con. But it happened to turn out that there were 2 or 3 other regional shows that popped up in between Origins and Gen Con. And so I spent the better part of a month traveling to shows like exactly what you're saying, Jay, every weekend. So it started with Origins, and the next weekend was a show, and then the next weekend there was a show, and blah, blah, blah. And I finally got home from Gen Con, and I was exhausted, and I collapsed on my bed. When I got home, I laid down on the bed, and I'm like, what is all this crap on my bed? And I realized it was dust. And I think you can suck it up and you'll be just fine, Jay. You'll be okay.
Yeah. It's called wife aggro.
Oh, dude. If you I don't know how to tell you this, but spousal aggro is always going to be there. It's a thing, and you have to manage it like a good tank. Figure it out.
She knows. Yeah, she puts up with a lot. She does, and it's just one. Hey, what's up there, James?
But the other side of it is Anna. I think this is one of those things where the two of you can talk about who tags in and who tags out. I don't disagree with the idea of sharing a workload and trying to make Now, if Anna's just like, I cannot be bothered to travel to that portion of New Jersey. There are warrants outstanding. I understand that, right? So,
well, she's come to Page the last 2 years.
And North Texas has been my next convention to try and sneak into in the future.
Well, you don't have to sneak in. Gary and I will
God, we love you, Anna. You don't have to sneak in.
Okay, then it's a deal for next year. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let me talk to Gary first. I can't.
I was going to say but definitely, it's definitely the next one. I would love to.
He likes to beat me up when I make unilateral decisions on shows like this. Mm-hmm. Jim can tell you that. I get told.
Mike,
but it's
Mike, reach out to. I'll pay for my
absolutely.
Absolutely. Seriously, I don't mind paying for my room. Seriously, it's no big deal. Yeah, I do it at Gary Con, and I'm going to do it probably for the rest of my life at Gary Con. So, I'm just kidding, Josh. Come on, man. I'm kidding. That way it's
Well,
guaranteed. You know how it is with special guests. There's cons that they have a lot of special guests, and then everyone gets there and they're like, "Well, you have to remove this person. There's no room available." I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's much better.
I'm not going to get into those dynamics because we could be another hour.
Yeah, you
I would.
understand though.
Oh, we talk
A
about
lot
the
of
show quite a bit. I'm talking Crit. We talk about it.
yeah.
And the thing you look at special when you look at special guests, you look at do they fit the show? Because
Thanks,
some like
Jeff.
we've had guests over the years that have contacted me and they just like I'm the magic card champion of Ohio. I'm like, we don't do any magic cards. I mean, you sound awesome, but
good for you.
You're not going to
wanna-
fit in our con at
I
all.
want to experience a lot more cons. I had a blast this last weekend. I know Tiffany did too. And I want to go back there next year. But look, once again, like Bill said, if Origins is the same weekend, I got to make a decision. You know, who knows with the scheduling?
Yeah,
and stuff.
Origins
I just want to
is-
get your feedback because you guys are veterans and you guys have seen a lot. No, I'm dead serious.
Yep.
I'm dead serious because
Well, Jay, I'll let you
feeling
know
so
that
grizzled.
I can do one a month. I really
one a month.
I'm only 63. I'm not like I'm ancient, but I find one a month is pretty much my. And I'm going to do it
I'm
at
old.
convention in 2
I'm
weeks
old,
now.
too.
Yeah.
But it's very close. And
Yeah.
I've got one for July. I've
Patrick.
got EggCon for July. I've got T-Fest for August. But I really can only handle one. I mean, it's just the older I got, the slower I recover. If I get sick, it's a
Yeah.
mess, you know.
Yeah.
And Anna,
Airborne
Yeah.
gummies.
Anna goes
3
all
a
the time.
day.
You guys know this.
But
You know,
and the cool thing is now I'm getting more and more used to running games at conventions. So and I like it more and more. So yeah.
And Anna absolutely priority, 100%. All right, I want to ask another question because talking about raising money. Last year's auction at GaryCon was unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
It was a sizable number.
Sizable number. Every year, myself, Anna, the community, we do a St. Jude fundraiser. I have over a dozen channels. It runs first, second, or third weekend in February. I don't know how we did it last year, but every year we surpassed. It's been 8 years. We did 36,166, and that's just with our community on Twitch.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. I want to keep it going. I think I need to step it up to the next level. Can we talk?
Sure.
that's the man to
I've
talk
done-
to right below
I've
us.
done online
Yeah.
stuff before.
Okay. Okay.
There was a fella in the DCC community, a longstanding, well-known early participant in the DCC community. Aaron was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, and before he passed, we did an online auction to raise money for his son's education fund. I've done a few online auctions with Goodman and so on, but absolutely, Jay, that's not a problem.
Hey,
I'd be glad to help.
I'm a cancer survivor. I mean, I don't know if you remember two GaryCons ago, I couldn't walk. I had a double hip replacement and a cancer surgery in the last calendar year. So I understand, man.
I lost my dad to cancer, so I would be glad to help.
Okay.
I would be glad to help.
St. Jude's is such a wonderful one. Josh, I see Josh smirking there. So, Josh, you know, I don't know how we're going to do past $36,000 next year. It was unbelievable. The community is very generous here, and it's a small, it's a couple hundred people. I mean, but I wanted to keep it going, and I want to participate more. We're going to have the game that got auctioned off that I'm running with Tiffany and Ed playing in it with the gentleman. Grateful DM's his name and 3 other players. That's going to be coming off probably into the summer that I auctioned off. I understand. We want to get back. That's just, and I appreciate it. I was really shocked. I mean, over 100K, right? That was just
so.
Gamers are incredible.
125.
That's insane. That's insane. That was so wonderful.
It's the most ever raised at any game convention in the world for charity.
That's fantastic.
Luke has been very kind about letting us sort of run the auction in ways that frankly Bill and I and Josh, let us lean into what we know and really sort of let us sort of take the guiding hand here. He's been very good. We didn't really go to Luke with a lot of asks, because we had a good sense of what it is we wanted to accomplish. We're blessed with great charity partners, and more than anything, we're blessed with that the charity partners have managed to put somebody in front of our audience that can speak to what it's like to go through Children's Hospital in a time of need and come through the tunnel and come out on the other side. I would say that some of the people who've donated to the auction have been tremendous. We're making some changes we're trying to do some things on the back end to try to give it the next boost to go to another level. I can't talk about that publicly yet, but we're certainly making moves in that direction. I would say that we will eventually hit a number. We will eventually hit a number that we can't top. And
that's what every year I think that.
I just and I know that, right?
Yeah.
But
intellectually you know that, but I know that you are like sitting there going, how the hell am I going to beat this?
Yeah, no.
But
absolutely.
what I would say is that I don't look at it that way. We've raised over $350,000 for Children's Wisconsin and Extra Life. And we've done that in a remarkably short period of time. There are a lot of other there are a lot of other conventions. There are a lot of other elements that donate to Children's Wisconsin, but there is nobody that hits as hard as we do in as short a time.
So we've in 8 years we've done $155,000 for St. Jude over the channels. It gets bigger and bigger. This is a top Tiltify donator for 2025. So we really step up. And what I'm going to do in return for your assistance, all the channels or people that come with our community, I'm going to ask them to give something. Make sure we all give something for the donator gifts at GaryCon next year. Okay.
Well, I would say a few things to this. Number one is that would be huge, and we would be terribly appreciative of that.
No problem.
Have a look in your closet and have a look on your shelves and find something that
or games
that has worth, but you don't need to hold on to anymore.
Just start selling souls.
That's
Not
right.
Mark Greenberg,
We might
not
have
Mark
to do
Greenberg
that.
sold.
Right.
No,
Okay.
But the other side of it on your side is I think talk to your community and talk about. We had a goal with GaryCon this year. We had a number that was internal that we didn't talk about publicly. We wanted to hit 100, and so when we got to where we got, it was a pretty staggering number. But I think one of the things you have to sort of decide for yourself is, this is the number we'd like to hit in February of 2027. And then you just start working it backwards. What are we going to have to do to get to that number? What can we try to do? And sort of, Josh will tell you, and Bill and I have spent the last year before GaryCon trying to make all the things, smooth out all the wrinkles and try to do all the things that would give us an opportunity to hit the number that we wanted to hit. And we were very, very lucky in that regard. So
last year was 32 and we get 30. There you go. So there it is. Just to show, it's like, now how do I do past 30? You're right. How do I do past 36,000?
But what I would tell you, what I would say to you is, internally, there's always the 10, 15, 20% rule, which is, if I really want to be sort of staying ahead of inflation, I got to hit 10% more than that number. What I'd ideally like to hit is 15%. And my earnest hope is 20% above that number.
So and 45 next year.
Grow on growth. Right. And so then you sort of just work it backwards. Right. But this is where you engage your community and you talk to your community and you spend the last 6 months before the auction or before the fundraising, where you say to your community regularly, they need to hear from it weekly. We've got this coming up in February. Please be aware of this. Please have a look at your shelves. We might do some online auctioning of things that are donated by the community. We're going to have these games with these people. These will be things you can bid on and that you can have an opportunity with. And that's how you get there, right? I think a lot of people don't understand that a great successful charity auction depends on having a lot of it's like a game, right? So one of the things that Bill mentioned earlier was that our friend Mark Greenberg puts a tremendous amount of prep into a game. I always say that for every hour of gameplay, you need about 2 to 3 hours of prep time. And I would say that for the GaryCon auction, for every hour of that auction, we probably put 40 hours of prep time in. Because we talked about every aspect of the show, of the event, and how we wanted to, how can we improve on last year? What needs to be fixed? What doesn't need to be fixed? We had a map of where everybody needs to be at all these times. And Bill's the first person who's like, who is this person in the space and why are they here? Because once I'm in front of the piano and I'm talking to the audience, I depend on Bill completely because my peripheries I can't see what's going on behind me, and really I have to focus on what's in front of me. And Bill does a tremendous amount of heavy lifting, sorting things to put in my hand, trying to keep the energy going. This is one of the reasons why Bill and well, I don't want to speak for Bill, but I abhor online auctions because they take the energy out of the room.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, trying to combine online bidding
hybrid
with a
tough.
live
It's
auction.
very
So,
tough.
so Jim, what we do is we get all the donator gifts, and I rank. Tiltify does this real easy. Top donor gifts gets his top choice of pick of whatever's out there. Then down.
Oh, we're totally going to blow that up. We're
Yeah.
totally going to blow that up. We're going to do a live auction, and it's going to be a
It's
blast.
different. She's talking about hybrid is different. That seems the not sweet spot. All in person or all virtual. Okay.
But Bill should say something now.
Well, I was going to say, Jay, I think that number that you got is just tremendous. I mean, gamers are so generous, but 36,000 is fabulous. I mean, one of the things that I talk about GaryCon is that for a number of people who are going to it, it is their family vacation for the year is to come to GaryCon. And so our audience is so generous and so willing to donate and just give above and beyond. You know, we have things that should sell, that traditionally would sell on eBay for $200, sell for $800 because people are so willing to give to the charity. So, we hit this huge number and it's absolutely fantastic. For you to hit 36, I think is just incredible, Jay.
It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. The first year we did $1,024. Year one. Anna played in that game. Remember, Anna? You were Mariel. Yeah. And every year doubled. And then we got 20, 22, 26. Yep. Then we got 32 and then 36. So it's growing every year. We've never not grown.
Yeah. But do you have a time share of Mark Greenberg's soul? That's what I want to know.
So going back to the point I would like to make before Mark Greenberg's soul once more entered the chat.
Yes.
I think one of the things you have to do is
very proud of it.
Is you have to coach and train your audience. You have to help your audience understand what the charity is, and people need to feel good about it, right? I say this, and I say this with a lot of affection. There are some times where I'm asked to raise money for charities that there may be political ties, there may be something else, and that's, I don't care either way about this stuff.
Kids and animals, right?
Kids and vets. It is really easy to raise money for sick kids and veterans. And I say that because people lose sight of these things. Okay. Like, people lose sight of this. Like, wait a minute, we want to raise money for big toenail fanciers. Yeah. Okay, but the amount of people willing to donate money to that is probably much smaller than you imagine. But when I have Oliver from Children's Hospital, who woke up screaming in the middle of the night, and his mom was in the ambulance, and the ambulance driver said, "You got a choice. Do you want us to take him to the hospital, or do you want us to go to Children's?" And in that heart-ripping moment of terror, she says, "Where should we go?" And the driver, without missing a beat, said, "We're going to Children's." Now, 2 years ago, Oliver spoke before the charity auction from a wheelchair. Yeah, he had just had his trach tube. I think he still had his trach tube, but he was essentially paralyzed from the neck down. And this year, Oliver walked out, and Oliver told everybody about his journey through rehab and what Children's had done for him since everybody had seen him the year before. And that's pretty powerful. That's a message that there's no words that I can say, or that Bill or anybody else can say, that are going to match that strength.
I was told there would be no feelings here tonight.
Yeah,
sorry,
John.
But 4 years ago, we had a 13-year-old girl, or we had a young woman come out and say, like, she's all perky, she's got the Hawaiian shirt because it's GaryCon. And she's like, "Hi," and everybody's like, "Hi." And then she goes, "I was 13 when I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma."
Yeah.
And you could have heard a pin drop. And that's the kind of thing, when you invest your audience, when you invest the bidders with what your goal is and what you're trying to accomplish and where you want to go as a group, and you help them understand that we're going to take this journey together. It's all of us. We're all in on this. That's where your success comes from. And you'll spend 6 months talking about this before we get to February, and then in February we're just going to we'll have a great time. We'll have just a fabulous time.
Fantastic. Another thing I don't do is I won't run other smaller, one big fundraiser a year. A lot of channels run a fundraiser every other month. I'm like, you're diluting.
Exhausting.
You're exhausting. Like, we have people that save up for this, right, in the community.
Yep.
Families that tithe, even Josh donates. So it's good. So,
Even Josh.
Even Josh.
Josh got outbid by Curtis for the Tiffany game for by $25, right? So with her running her game, but it was we got a lot of fun stuff going on. So
so what the answer there, Josh, is Tiffany needs to run a game for us tonight.
She's not. She's actually got a rental car now. She's not going.
I don't know how to tell you this.
Well, hold on. So she's got. So I'm not gonna. Am I gonna see it or not?
Wait a minute. She said that she said she texted you.
No,
she sent you a message.
I put my phone on you because I was getting lit up.
So her dad helped her out get a rental to go from Chicago all the way up to Milwaukee, drop off the rental so she get her car, which is at the Milwaukee airport, and get home.
We were just gonna. Bill was just gonna, and I were just gonna make her play with us.
Double check. She's probably in the air now because
while you guys are figuring that out, I ran upstairs earlier and I wanted to show, because Mike was talking about these earlier. So this is Ghost Tower of Inverness.
Oh my gosh!
This is one of the reprints. They made 300 copies of this for WinterCon in 1979, and of course, a copy of this now runs about $10,000 if one wants to get a copy of this.
And you have 7 of them.
I have 8 of them, but that's
I was kidding.
That's
But there's a reason. There is a reason that he has 8. There is an important note for each one of those.
There's Mike just showed one right there. Mike showed one. But my point is not to discuss how many copies I have of this.
Well, that's fine.
He's got 9 more than
I was kidding.
Doesn't more than I do.
Mine was to say that it was awesome that Doug went and got the ability to reprint, probably illegally, to reprint this so that collectors could, and they printed off 100 of these.
He might not have asked permission.
Yeah, and that's okay. But this way now people could actually, see what's inside this product.
Yeah.
And, he mentioned Misty Isles too. This one was actually illegally obtained.
Yes.
So.
I just got a message from Tiffany. Boarding has been delayed again due to the storm. So she may be staying with me tonight. So I may have to drive back to the airport. All right, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
But they did, and Tim Kask, when Tim Kask was brought back into the fold by Frank Menser, Tim would write adventures.
We're gonna run a little late tonight, everyone. Go ahead.
Run them at the cons, run them at North Texas, run them at GaryCon, and publish 75 copies, and it would be available at the con for people to buy. And it was just fantastic to get these all these different published things that North Texas has put out over the years.
So,
any questions from the audience? And then we'll do some final thoughts here. Any other questions from the audience for our guests?
I've got one thing. I got one thing to say that we didn't cover.
Please.
Jim and I have a personal crusade that's been going on about a year. And I don't know what the name of this crusade is, Jim. It's called "Get Your Shit in Order."
Get your shit in order
before you pass away. I mean, that's the ugly, blunt way. But we talk a lot about and talking crit about how you shouldn't leave a mess behind for your wife, relatives, kids, whoever. If you pass away unexpectedly, you've got this gigantic collection of hundreds of items. So we've been playing this for a while. We did a seminar about it. We had about 20 people there. It was good, but I think you're expanding this for Gamehole Con.
Yeah, we're going to have it at Gamehole Con. We did a trial flight at North Texas, and it went really well.
It went very good.
We're going to have a similar Gamehole Con, but we're going to talk about collecting and what's involved with collecting, and also too, you have to have honest discussions with the people that are in your life about your collections. I walked people through what I inherited when my dad passed away. And when I said, I inherited many, many, many containers of British militaria. awards, medals, cap badges, uniforms. I think I ate 14, 15 of these gigantic black, the black tubs with the yellow lids that you see at Home Depot, whatever the largest size is. I got like 14 of those. And people were like, whoa. And I said, yeah. I said, my dad and stepmother's entire collection of Aladdin lamps, the kerosene burning Aladdin lamps. And they were like, what? And I said, oh yeah. They had 50, 75 of those. They were like, no way. I was like, way. I said, and then I said, but wait, there's more. I said, then there's the 250 plus Toby jugs, the British sort of caricature head jugs of British political figures. And there was just this gasp of horror. And I said, like really and truly now almost all of us that are collectors of some point, if you don't our friend Jeff Emery has a great phrase: if you're not upgrading, you're hoarding. And when we drop that little nugget of truth, you could see a couple of people in the audience just sort of go, oh. But we talked about having a focus. We talked about more importantly having the conversations with the people you love, which is, this is my collection. What about this do you care about? I had this conversation with my son. I have a couple of pieces of original art, and that's my son's interest. I used to work for Gaines Workshop, and I had a staff discount, and that is a horror of its own imaginings. But he's not the big miniatures guy. He's not interested in all the
we
lifetime.
fool ourselves into thinking that
no
somebody cares
Tyranid
about
armies. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We fool ourselves into thinking people care about our collection as much as we do, and they don't. And nobody does.
And we talked about do you want it all to be sold off for what you claimed you bought it for? Do you want it to go into a dumpster? You need to think about all this and have these tough conversations and take action on that.
I have
my son's.
I have a sticky note on this.
You
want to know the sticky note says? Auction at Gen Con via Bill or Jim.
Right.
Because I'm preparing if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, my wife's going to say, what is this?
Yes.
And it's worth it. Oh, Bill or Jim.
Yes.
It's this is, like I said, it's a crusade that we've had a lot of close friends who are collectors pass away in the last few years, and they've left monumental game collections behind that their relatives have no clue what to do with. And so that's a big.
I did not expect. So I think we've alluded to it a few times. I had a knee replacement on Monday after North Texas. I got back from North Texas on Sunday, and I had my knee replaced on Monday. And at one point during the post-op, I was in so much pain that they gave me not only intravenously the maximum dose of Percocet / oxycodone that they could, but then because that wasn't actually putting a dent in the pain, they went ahead with a nerve block in my leg. And for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, my body just wasn't even breathing. Like the nurse was yelling at me to breathe, like inhale. And my blood ox got down to about 80, 85%, somewhere in there. It would get down to 80 and 85, but it was bad. And my wife and I had a conversation on Friday where I said, is it as bad as I really think it was? And she goes, yeah. And it wasn't an overdose, but it was close enough. It was perilous enough that all the words that Mike and I had for our 20-some attendees on Friday at North Texas, all of this comes crashing home, right? Because and we're all going to die.
Well, you're chopping it out.
Rock song. I played an excerpt from the Chris Rock song, Champagne Room, where it's like, Scorpio, you're going to die, blah, 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 blah. I didn't expect to have possibly even be putting some of my contingency plans into place, but I spent a big chunk of this week thinking about that. And we're trying to get people to have those conversations so that you don't leave somebody with 58 boxes of moldy RPG modules. And
it's not just RPG, is it, Jeff? It's anything.
No, it's comics. It's Toby
we collect all
jugs.
kinds of stuff. And so I've had to really think about this the last few years, and it's become a really important crusade with me to talk to people and say, do you have a plan? And that's just one of the, like I said, we ran the seminar at North Texas first time. you're going to have, I think, Alex and Bill. You're going to upgrade from me, Jim, for Game Hall. You're going to have Alex and Bill help you out, and it's going to be a talk about collecting, right? But it's also talk about what do you do? What is your end game? You got to have an end game. I mean, Bill has an end game. Bill's got an end game. He's got a list. This is what I'm looking for. This is it. He doesn't just go grab random stuff, you know. He's not going to suddenly start collecting BattleTech, you know, tomorrow because that's just, he's going to get a BattleTech army.
If you know how much Bill hates BattleTech, that's even funnier.
And so you have to have a plan. And so we talk about that. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. That's one of the things we talk about. We did talk about North Texas. I would want to do this every year at North Texas now because I think a response, the questions we were asked from the audience response says that people need that. They need to talk about. Yeah. They don't know. Should I insure my collection? Yeah, you probably.
Well, no shit, Sherlock.
My basement's insured. I'll buy it for a lot.
There you go.
A lot.
You get, you know, you got to have that. You got to have
Boston. I think you can load up all your stuff into a longboat and set it on fire with you as you push down into the harbor. That was my initial contingency plan, but then, as many have pointed out, that's selfish. And
very selfish.
Admirable, but selfish.
But then you get to take all your RPGs into the afterlife, Josh.
Yeah, there you go.
I know. Who's got a player handbook out there? I mean, of course, we know most of the.
You don't need it. You're going to play it for real.
That's right. Jay, did you have any other questions from the chat?
No, it's just so there's like no, I'm getting embroiled in a Cannon Fire Discord chat. Once again, I'm going to swear here, and because they're going nuts about fucking Prince Thrommel being a vampire. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me nuts. The dumbest canon thing Monty Cook ever did. All right, so
no, that was it. The one that was the best of all of the iterations.
It's so dumb. So dumb. It's being undone. It's being undone in Milk Book 2, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
I love that return.
So canon corrected canon is coming, courtesy of Luke and me. So there you go.
That's okay. We'll fix it again later.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. No, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the information.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you all coming on. Anything anyone wants to shout out that's going on very soon? Any events or anything going on? We'll all talk in the near future. I know we will.
The next big thing is Gen Con, and truthfully, there's a new captain at the helm of the ship of Dungeons and Dragons. I have gone on record as saying I think there's a number of positive changes coming, and I think one of the things that's a big indicator of that is that they're now coming to Gen Con in a big way.
That's awesome.
They've rented out the theater, and there's having something pretty much all 4 days of Gen Con nonstop from the morning to the night. I think that bodes well for the hobby. A strong Dungeons and Dragons is a strong RPG hobby. And there are people who are too short-sighted to understand the real implications of that. But one of the things that happened at our North Texas collecting seminar is that we had a guy who is incredibly earnest and interesting, and all he's collecting is 5th edition. And we talked about some things in the seminar he did not know existed. And now, he has a couple more things to run down or whatever, but it doesn't matter if you're an old school collector, if you're a 5th edition collector or whatnot. Dungeons and Dragons has been a part of our lives for over 50 years. And we have to embrace that and realize that all the rest of our magnificent hobby grew out of a basement in Lake Geneva.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to see D&D back in a big way at Gen Con.
I look back and I started in 78. I mean, I was 11 years old. It's insane. I've been playing nonstop ever since.
That's great.
I've been a long.
I will be going to Gen Con for the first time in my life. A lot of firsts. First NTRPG.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to Gen Con for my 9th time. Yep.
Oh wow, Anna.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And then there's Game Hole.
Yep.
And some other stuff happens, and then GaryCon. Right now, GaryCon badge sales for VIG renewals and all that other stuff is happening. We'll do a big email blast, probably get it out Tuesday afternoon or something, or maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
Yep.
Which says basically GMs, volunteers, you should all have your codes. You should all have this. Exhibitors are open. We had a 2-hour exhibitors meeting this morning. Because just like, what Mike was talking about and what you guys were talking about is, you want to try and cultivate a diverse mix. You don't want to have the same, repeated over and over again. And you want to offer, but yet we want to offer something new. We always try and make room for some new folks and give them an opportunity. But our challenge is that we have we have a lot more people who want booths than we have made space for, because it's a popular convention. Because again, like on TRPG, the people, the vendors have good things to say afterwards. So it's about cultivating. So Dave and I next week will be going and stopping in a shop at Lake Geneva, because we also want to include the local community. We're going to check them out. And I think Jim, one of our new exhibitor hall guy who's taking over for Dave, is going to be joining us as well. But
very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. So watch socials and stuff. Lots of news coming out for GaryCon.
Got badge number 61 already done.
Missed
so
it
thank
by
you.
Noise.
The same number that Bill has of
what? Of Lost Caverns of
Brown
Show
boxes?
original show cans, right? 61.
All right. You know what? All right, I'm gonna drop this as where I'll make it real quick. So Jim mentioned Winter Fantasy before.
Okay.
So I went up to Winter Fantasy in 1981. It was 81. And there was for the silent auction, or for the auction, not silent, but at the auction later, there was a brown box sitting there. And I went over to it, and it said Terry Kuntz on it, the brother of Rob Kuntz. Wow. And Terry Kuntz was standing there, and I asked him, I said, "You're selling your brown box?" And he said, "Yeah, I don't play anymore, so I'd like, somebody else to get it." So I had $32 with me that I brought to the convention. And so the minimum bid was $25 for Terry's brown box. And so finally, the auction finally started, and Tom Wam said, $25. And somebody said 25. And I said 30. And I jumped up in the air to announce my $30 bid. And everybody looked at me and said, "Aw, let the kid have it."
That's awesome.
So that's how I got my first brown box, was for $30 in 1981.
That's cool.
That doesn't work for you anymore, though, does it, Bill?
No, it doesn't work.
No, as soon as Bill's hand goes up, everyone else is like, "Yeah, this
like
something.
okay.
I'm in too."
Winter Fantasy Con, since Jim had mentioned it earlier. There you go.
Mike, anything in closing?
We are improving the website this year. We actually finally are growing up. We're going to actually have a functional website. It'll probably be something to do with North Texas RPG Con. We'll announce it when it happens. We do most of our announcements on Facebook, but we're also going to expand to the website, and we do some stuff on a couple other forums. But we will have tickets go on sale in July, and I would advise anybody that's interested in coming to buy a ticket. If I know it's early, but if you can't come, you could roll it over for the next year. And because I have a feeling we're going to sell out way before January next year. So yeah, that'll probably, it'll be sometime in July. Just pay attention to your socials on Facebook, and it will be announced before it happens. So
Anna, who was super quiet this whole time,
I'm just enjoying it. This is fantastic. Yeah.
Anything you want to?
No, we can do that on Wednesday.
Wednesday night Legends and Lore.
Yep.
We don't have a topic yet because I've been away. We haven't even discussed it with all the craziness going on.
Okay, then we'll so we figure something out.
I'm gonna have to drive back to the Philadelphia airport and pick Tiffany up, but the flight's still delayed. So we'll see. Jim, any final thoughts?
Gosh, no. Thanks for having all of us on.
Of course,
I think
this is wonderful. Thank you.
I think cross-pollination is absolutely the greatest thing about this hobby, and it doesn't happen enough. So I'll close with, I encourage everybody watching this, support your local shows, support your local sheriff, try to get to shows you haven't been to. And more than anything else, just make room at your table for everybody. It's a big, wide, wonderful hobby. And Gary never actually excluded anybody coming to his table at his house in Lake Geneva. And I think that's something we could all emulate.
Josh, closing.
What's that?
In closing.
I did my closing. I was the first one.
Okay, Josh. Well, thank you for all three brand new guests to the channel. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We've been going for 8+ years. This is great. This is great. We'll have you back on. GaryCon promotion, whatever you want to do. And if you could all stick around till I get off stream and raid out, then I would like to just talk what we were discussing with the fundraiser. Make sure I have all your contact information. All right, if that would be okay. All right, 2 giveaways. Let's do them real quick here. All right, the Black Oak Workshop dice and bag set, right? And then our new favorite something, which I won't say the word. I'll let Tiffany do it tomorrow. Emperor's Choice, Arduin. This is their character pack card set 1, along with one of their really nice swords. This is like an upgrade from the Conan swords they were giving out at CNY with this pack on this weekend. So actually, we should be drawing. Yeah, it's a sword. It's really cool looking. Sword keychain, right? I think, but it's nice. It's really nice. I don't think.
Hey, real quick, Kamukama.
Kama.
Yeah, I was having.
What's his question?
About original D&D hardcovers way back around '84. I came across a hobby shop with a box full of new original Fiend folios, but they were all printed inverted. Can only guess what their value would be today. Is that not? That's not. What's your question though?
Well, I think.
Is that
how much are they worth?
Oh, do you know the value? Probably would be the question.
That's Bill would know.
I would say that they'd probably be worth, depending upon their, the relative condition, I'd say 1.5 to 2 times what you'd normally get for a Fiend folio in that condition.
So 150.
That's a little high. I'd say more like 75 to 100.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool. It may be a worthwhile investment for you, Kama. Sorry I missed that one. Thanks. Too much going on. It's been a long day. I mean, I've been driven back and forth for like 6-7 hours in addition to everything else. So it's been fun. All right, here we go. 2 giveaways. Ready? Closing it out. Let's see who wins. You got to tell me. First winner's got to tell me what they want. Which one? All right. I'm assuming the dice. Pick winner. So we got Pat 66. Yep. And then our next winner is Keith Rogier. All right. So you've probably seen a lot of things scrolling through. Legends and Lore is Wednesday night at 7. We'll get the topic. Myself, Anna Greyhawk, Mike Bridges. Thursday night, all female cast, Armed and Dangerous. Minus Tiffany will be in Florida, hopefully, if she gets all the flight arrangements going. So that'll be a fun one. Saturday morning, I got Myriad and I got Korg right now for a game Saturday morning at 11. Josh, if you're around this weekend, let me know. I may need I'm not sure if you're here there or not. So I'll let you know.
No, I'll talk to you later then about it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. And then next Sunday, Ed's back. Every 2 months, Ed comes on. Climate and its effects on Greyhawk and the Realms, right up Anna's alley.
Yep.
So we're gonna delve deep into this topic next Sunday.
I didn't come up with the idea,
I did.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So absolutely. All right. So is Pat 66 in chat? If Pat
Pat was in chat.
Cards. You want the cards, Pat? All right, I got you. I got you. You get the dice there, Keith. We're gonna raid into Sparkles Mandy, who's then gonna raid into Marquee Gaming when they're done. All part of my our 28 member stream team on Twitch. So thank you all. That was awesome. I'm gonna hit the wrong button like I always do. All right, rock and roll.
Bye, everybody.
Set the raid up here. Give me 1 second here. Sparkles. They got 32-1. Let's go in, knock them way over 100 viewers. All right, let's do it.
Thanks, Mike, for joining us.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And
Thank you
thanks
all.
for putting all the work that you did.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you Wednesday night. Raid's out.
Reels.
Yep.
Let me turn this off.
It popped over 17.